When dreams and reality collide, a life is turned upside down. Thrust into a conflict where ancient shadows fight secret wars. For control of the future. Her allies hide in plain sight, but so do her enemies. All right. Welcome to the Lucent Shill Out stream. I didn't stream yesterday. I was busy working on something new, something secret, something I might give you all a glimpse of later. But I'm good to be back. I'm realizing if you want to keep campaign running, keep the gas, keep the pedal on the metal, you've got to be out there shilling your stream, shilling your Indiegogo page, I should say. Every day. You're going to be out there every day. It's a big commitment. That's why I took a week off work. So I'll only be able to do this for a week. But I think I might get on live every day now. Maybe this time. I don't know. It's a bit of a weird time. It's nighttime in the US. It's afternoon here in Australia. But we'll figure it all out. I don't know if you guys are aware, but check this out. The Lucent is very close to 10,000 Australian dollary dues. That equals around about 6,000 and something US dollars. But 10,000 Aussie dollars sounds like a lot of money to me. And I'm waiting. Breath. Come on. Is anyone going to back it? It's hard to stop yourself from refreshing it all the time. But you got to get on with life. You got to get on with work, and there's stuff to be done here. I've promised a hell of a lot of sketch cards, and I want to get some what are they called, stretch goals up. So if you scroll down here on the page, all the way down, it's taking a while to load. I've got that Aussie internet we all complain about. Oh, no, there it is. Oh, where is it? It's jumping all over the place. Yes, I just chucked up. These are like my dream stretch goals. I put them in there because, you just never know how these things are going to go. And, so I dream of having a 12-page preview comic of the second book in there. That book is called Painted Death. So the first one's called Waking Dream. The next one is called Painted Death. I think that's a really cool name. And I think it's a really cool scene that's plucked from as well. It's the opening scene in the first book. God, this thing is still loading. I guess I should have had this done already. But yeah, this is I want to put an action scene in the show a bit of action from the second book. Because I know all the guys out there, you love action. I love action as well, and I want to show off just a little bit of what these guys can do, and also that lovely UV spot coat. Oh, Tommy's here. Tommy says, backed already. So you have me there. Well, thank you, Tommy. Well, I want to give you more things. I don't just want to give you whatever you've backed. I want to be able to add to it. So I've been thinking about that. And I know you can get die cut stickers. I think Ella would look really cool in a die cut sticker. You know, it's cut out to her form that she's on the cover there. How cool would that look? And I think they're pretty cheap. You know, nice little shape there. You could stick her wherever you want. You could get her flying up. You could get her flying down, flying sideways, however you want. Choice is up to you. But I think they're pretty cheap. I saw there was a company that was it's kind of like streamline the process. A lot of the time back in the day, you used to have to go to printers and say, oh, can you do die cut? And they go, oh, we don't actually do it here, but we can get someone to do it. And you're like, well, how am I getting ripped off here? But there's companies out there now that are that's their business. There's a company out there that's we're going to be the die cut sticker people. Come to us for your die cut sticker needs. And I've seen a few people using that in their campaigns. So yeah, I'm looking into that. That might be the first stretch goal. I haven't figured out yet at what level that will exactly be. I'm still trying to see where this campaign is going to be in about a week. If I need to, because you don't want to set a stretch goal too high, and then it's everyone's waiting around, and the highest stretch goals are too far off. I definitely do want to include these some of these dream perks in there if at all possible later down the line. But the other one I was thinking of is a poster print. So an A4 poster print. A4 is the maximum size that will fit in the box that I'm shipping. I can't remember what it is. I think it's about 11 inches high. It's it's about this big, and here you go. Whoa, stuff's going everywhere. Yeah, so it's this big, the fit in there. And someone pointed out in a stream the other day that if I put the book in here, it's got its lovely matte laminate cover that I pay extra for, and everyone loves. You love that feel. Those matte laminate covers, they're susceptible to chafing. So if I've got this rough, not rough, but it's not polished cardboard backing in here for extra sturdiness shipment, then that could chafe. So I thought, well, you know what? This is a really good opportunity to do a poster print. We can do a poster print, like one that fits right in here, and it'll be new art, brand new art, never seen before, and a really lovely glossy print. I think that would be really cool. So I thought, okay, what can I put in there? We've seen Ella already, we've seen some other people. So there's another guy in this story who's a big part of the story. Tommy says postcards are nice too. Yeah. So I think, well, everyone who's signed up already gets a free postcard. I still haven't figured out what that's going to be, but yes, postcards are nice too. When I get that printed, it's super easy to get, super easy and super cheap to get postcards printed. So yes, I was thinking maybe a little, I like the idea of with the postcard, it's encouraging you to back the upcoming campaign as well. So I'm going to think about that. Maybe I can give some kind of enticement on the back of the postcard to come back for the second one, Painted Death. HexAllen Comics. Oi, are you an Aussie, HexAllen? Are you saying Aussie, Aussie, Aussie? Oi, oi, oi. I don't know. But anyway, we're going back. Thanks for coming, man. Thanks for showing up. Thanks for leaving a little comment in the chat there. Always like to chat with you guys. That's the point of doing a stream. Otherwise, I just record a video and just talk to myself and feel really awkward. I feel a lot more natural. Even if it's just a couple of people watching, that's fantastic. I feel like I'm actually talking to someone. So yeah, so a poster print, slip it in there. That'll protect the back of the book when it's sitting in here, and it will look so cool. So anyway, I've got a guy. He's a main character in this story. I can't really say too much about him. Even in this book, you don't really get to know his proper name, but he has a cool power. He has the power to manipulate water, and in really interesting ways. So you see a little bit of him in action in this first book, but I wanted to show a really kind of dynamic, cool pose. So having said that, I can show a bit of work in progress. HexAllen says is American. Well, thank you for showing up. I know it's late over there, so this is the stream for all you night owls and insomniacs. And yeah, I checked before, and it didn't seem like many other people were streaming, so I just sort of jump on board. And well, you guys want to have your Comicsgate comic book fix, can hang out in here, and we can have a good chat. So let me try and I've been working on this this poster kind of yesterday and this morning, and it's still a work in progress. It's not finished. It's still black and white, so the inks are only about halfway done, but I'm going to pull it in here and hopefully it'll show up. There we go. Can you see that? Yeah, so that is the work in progress, and I don't know if you can make it out there, because it's kind of confusing in the black and white. It's going to make a lot more sense when there's colors in there. Whoa, that's a crotch shot, if ever I've seen one. It then lets me go all the way into his crotch or all the way out. So you get crotch or nothing. What do you want? What do you want to see? I think probably everything. So yeah, as you can see, I don't know if you can see there, but basically you've got water and it's swirling around him. And he's in this kind of dynamic pose. You can see a little bit of his legs hidden behind the water there, in the same way that you can see he's gonna be behind that that thing that's going in front of him as well. Yeah, it's just going to be water swirling up around him, and it's going to be set in the same colors as those bluey greeny colors. It's going to look really cool. So imagine this full color. And this will be for everyone. Everyone gets this. This will be a stretch goal. Anyone who backs the book gets this, and it'll be full gloss, kind of like Vinnie Tartamella level gloss. You're gonna be able to see yourself in it if you get too close. And yeah, that I think that's a really cool stretch goal. It's something I can really sell. I can put out there on Twitter and YouTube and whatever, and show the people, get enticed. People love the big splash page type pieces of art, and I think it's really going to look cool. I'm probably, just looking at it, I'm probably about 70% done with the inks. Obviously I've got to draw the guy. Thankfully he's pretty much he's really covered up, and he's going to be in shadows and stuff as well, so I don't have to draw too much of him, but there's a fair amount of detail in the background there at the top that I haven't to yet, but you can see the composition, and yeah, this is going to look really cool. So I can't wait to show you more of this as it gets finished. Like I said, I'm probably going to be streaming every day, so you can, if you see it today, you can come back and see it tomorrow. And yeah. All right. Another thing, what else did I want to show you guys? To show you guys some other things. So, here we go. Some artwork of mine. People have been asking me, is this your first book? They really like art, and then they're surprised that it's my first book. I understand usually on a first book, people, they're still trying to find their legs, and I still think I am as well. Maybe I'm a bit further ahead than other people, but yeah, so I have a long history in art, maybe not comic book art, but I've been making and selling things like t-shirt designs for a long time now. So I thought maybe I'll show you guys some of that, and there's a cool little ending to it if you stick with me, and I think you'll find it pretty cool. But I thought I'd just show you guys some of this stuff that where I'm coming from previously. This is what I did pretty much right before I decided I was going to make a comic book. Once I decided I was going to make a comic book, then that was all it. Okay, is that showing up? No. Oh, I've got to. You know what I've got to do? I'm going to take down this screen here. And I'm going to load up a new one that just shares the whole application window. That one there. All right. There you go. Yeah, so these are all t-shirt designs that I was doing for Threadless, and I was doing these back in, I'm going to say, around 2009 to about 2011, maybe a bit later. It's around that time, 2010, 2011, 2012, around that time. And yeah, so this was a thing that I did. Let's see if I can zoom in on this one. I don't know if I can. Here we go. That's better. There you go. Get a bit closer there. So this is a digital painting that I did. I don't know if you guys know, it's Charles Darwin, and he's cradling a chimpanzee. And yeah, so I don't know if you know about Threadless, but basically anyone can come onto Threadless. It's a global, international site. You can upload your T-shirt designs to them. People vote on them, and then back in the day when I started, if you got selected to be printed, it was a $2,500 US payday, and then on top of that, if it sold out really well, you get royalties. So it was a huge thing. So I was putting a lot of time into this, and I can't remember if this is one of the first ones that succeeded. But anyway, yeah, this succeeded. This was actually they run like promotions, science competitions. Poland, yes, hey, Poland has seen he's a wrench. I was waiting for someone to show up. Hey man, how you going? So I figured out how to make wrenches. I went back to previous streams and I right clicked on some people. I was just picking people, that I know and I'm seen in here, and I was just wrenching you guys. So there you go. Thanks, man. Thanks for sharing the link. Hey, if you want to come in, I can put the link in as well, like I normally do. And I always prefer to chat to people than just kind of chat into my screen. So I might just share that link. Here we go. Put it in there. Oh, you were you? You bragging about me to some of my mates. Oh, yeah. I hope it was all good bragging. Yeah. So anyway, so welcome, Poland. Thanks for coming. So there was a science competition. So every entrance had to have something to do with science, and this was my entrant. I was really big at the time. It was during that whole big, everyone was talking about evolution and that kind of stuff on the internet. It was the whole big creationism versus evolution debate going on the internet. So yeah, Poland, welcome, brother. How you going?
Hail, Michael.
Oh, thank you. Hail Poland. Thanks for showing up.
Yeah, I was on my Discord just now talking to some of my friends. I said, yeah, I've been dealing with some of these Aussie creators on YouTube. They got some really awesome stuff coming.
When you say dealing with, it sounds very like you're having to.
Yeah, I'm having to navigate it, because I'm in trying to make sure I don't rock the boat too much. Odd man out here.
I think everyone's really taken to you. We like your voice. We like what you have to say. The only issue is, it's so late for you at night when we're kind of coming on. So
yeah, the working from home thing's definitely enabled me to keep track. That's for sure.
Yeah. So I just thought I'm calling this the Shill Out stream. We're chilling out, and I'm shilling the Lucent. I know that I've gotten a bunch of questions recently about my background. What projects have you worked on previously? And everyone, I guess, is expecting comic books. But this being my first comic book, I don't really have anything to point them to. So I just thought I'd show a bit of my old T-shirt. Actually, holy crap! I forgot. I'm actually wearing this T-shirt. Look at that.
Oh, there you go.
There you go.
That's hilarious. So, yeah, you're definitely shilling now.
All planned out. This is all planned out. I'm actually, learning how to get a bit of content onto these things. So yeah, this is my Charles Darwin shirt. That won me $2,500 US, which was a lot of money for me back then. I would have been in my mid-20s or so. Like I said, the US dollar goes a long way down here. So where's my other tab here? Let's continue on. What else have I got? The Simpsons. So yeah, I was a huge fan of The Simpsons when I was a kid. I haven't watched it in the last 20 years, but when it was good, it was the best. And they ran a competition. Again, global competition. And yeah, mine was selected as one of the winners. I don't remember if I won any decent money for this, but I definitely got included in all their promotional stuff, and so that was pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I made this up as a puzzle too, just for myself. It's a really good puzzle. It's really fun. It's got all the there's so many little characters in there. You can spend some good time kind of going in there, and there's so many characters hidden inside the ball. It's really.
Yeah, it reminds me of those rubber band balls.
Yeah. I was just kind of picturing them kind of rolling down the street. This is a tiger that I did. I've never done this. This is the first time I ever did this style, and it's the last time I ever did it. It was pretty labor intensive, and I love the way it came out. I actually sell a lot of these on Displate. I don't know if you guys know about that, but I have a Displate page as well, and it's where they sell. What's that?
That's a neat site.
Yeah, there's so much good stuff. It's almost, it's like it's going to one of those local I call them Asian restaurants. They're not Chinese, they're not Thai, they're not Malaysian, they're Asian, and they just sell every cuisine that comes from Asia, and the menus. They bring out the menus, and it's like a book, and you don't know what to order because there's a gazillion things on the on the menu. And that's what I feel like whenever I go to Displate. There's just so much amazing art, because you could make a decent amount of cash there. Whenever I withdraw from Displate, and I do it a couple of times a year, it's like $500, and I don't have to do anything. This art is, it's been there for a while, and I just put it up, and it sells.
That's awesome.
Yeah, cheers, man. Cheers. Yeah, I got this on T-shirts. I've got this on. I haven't seen it on the metal print yet, but I'm presuming it looks good because a lot of people buy it. HexAllen says he loves Barney on the bottom. Yeah, he's got the beer. Yeah, he's asleep. He's passed out.
Michael, I put the link to the stream in the War Campaign Discord. So.
Oh yeah, cool, awesome. Thanks, man.
Yep.
Man.
No problem.
Get the word out. Yeah. I just know I didn't stream yesterday because I don't know if you saw my little poster print I posted just before you came on. I was working on that yesterday, and I just was kind of tired, and I'd been on How to Draw Comics with Clayton Barton, and but I'm realizing if you don't get out in there and stream every day, people kind of forget about you. So that's the game that we're in now. This is my Thor, and he's made out of lightning. I think that's pretty cool too. So yeah, not comic book art, but comic book related art. So again, this is something that I'm selling on Displate and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
And
what
lastly,
and this like is that in the Ragnarok. That would have been pretty.
Awesome. Yeah. This is, I call this Skyfather Rising. I don't know if you can make them out there. There's some little mountains on the bottom, and he's just kind of coming out and rising out, and that's Thor's moment after Odin dies, and he's taking the mantle. But this is what I wanted to talk about. This one, I think maybe this one was the first big one I won, and I won a lot of money with it too. I think I got the print money, and I won a competition with it as well. It was the Ninja Turtles competition, and it was so cool for me because it was, I started drawing as a kid. We're talking 7 or 8, drawing the Ninja Turtles. That's how I got into drawing. I used to draw these guys all the time. And when this competition came around, I was like, hell yeah, I'm on this. So I got this concept of having the turtles as, these samurai guys, a little bit different to their ninja thing. And, just put in a composition, gave them all their colors, gave it a bit of a cool textured effect. And I won, and it was it was crazy. It was such a big moment in my life. I kind of got first time I ever got some real recognition on the internet for my art. And I wanted to show on stream that they sent me all these toys, all these old 90s toys, and they're all boxed, and they're all signed by Kevin Eastman.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is, I don't know if these are worth anything, but I don't know. There's probably someone
there's going to be someone like Panboy out there. They'll definitely want to get the piece.
Yeah, I heard Liam was saying on his stream the other day that Pan is a massive Turtles head. So maybe he'll be interested in checking out this stream. But yeah, look at this. What's this? This is like a Mini Mutants tabletop playset, and yeah, all in their box, all got the Kevin Eastman signature on it.
Yeah, the Turtles stuff never seems to wane. There's always
It
people
looks
looking
so cool. It looks so cool. I mean, this is what I love. This is the era that I love. The that what did you call it? That cartoon era. That's how I when the logo looked like that. Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it? Like that, And it was just it was a trip. They sent me a graphic novel as well, the original Turtles compendium thing, but unfortunately that one wasn't signed. But all this stuff is signed. So cool. I sometimes I forget I have this stuff, and then I go out and I find the box. So yeah, this stuff is really. I can't believe they sent me all this. Oh my god, it's see. Look, I've forgotten. It's been so many years. I'm gonna bring this up this screen. It's been so many years since I jumped into this stuff. Check this out.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I think we need to give Pan a call.
Yeah, man. Pan, come on here. We'll chat turtles, man.
You need to tweet at Pan. I
live the turtles. You're not going to believe what I got in here. I've got two more things. I'm not going to take too much time with this. But... What is this? Ninja Turtle Mobile. Yeah, so all this stuff is 90s. Sitting in my box, kind of all put away. Nice airtight box, so there's not getting any dust in there or anything like that. This is the Ninja Grappler. When were these things made? Let me look on the back here. So this is probably Kevin Eastman's from his personal stash, because this is old stuff. This is 1993 Playmate Toys, and it's all got his signature on it. So
oh wow. I got
this
some
is like
Tomb Raider Playmates.
Yeah.
Yep. They came off at eBay though. No signatures.
Yeah. You know what I've got? I've got the full collection of where am I? Go back. I got the full collection of Hasbro WWF figures. You know those the wrestling figures like Hulk Hogan and everything. I've even got a rare one that's apparently worth $700, $800.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it came in a bag. The only way you could get it was if you sent away I think like cereal coupons, and they'd send it to you, and it came in a plastic bag. So of course the version that's sort of still in the bag is worth all the money. And I picked one of them up off eBay. That was when I was playing poker. So like I said, like you got all this cash and you don't just want to hold on to it. You want to get it to work for you. So that's what I did. I started buying. I bought, I think I bought that for $200 and it's since gone up to about $800. But yeah, the thing with wrestling figures is I don't know how long that's going to be, how long those old figures are going to be popular. Things like comic books, Spider-Man comic books or whatever, people are always going to be wanting Spider-Man. But I don't know how long people are going to be wanting figures of Boss Man. I don't know. So I don't know how long I'm going to hold on to them for.
Yeah, some of that stuff you have to hit when the iron's hot. It gets big for like a year or two, depending on if there's something new coming out for it, like a movie or a book or something, and then it dies down again.
That's it. But I think the Turtles have legs. Like, I don't think the Turtles are going to, go out of fashion anytime soon. They're just constantly being rebooted. It's just such a cool concept. That really did, when it came out, it really took off. Like a frog in a sock, as we like to say here. Hey, Blue Samurai, how you going, mate? Thanks for turning up. Yeah, I figured it out. I figured out the wrenches. I just no one was helping me. on the videos. It was all too complicated. I just went into an old video and just right click like someone told me to do on the stream. And before it just was showing me block or report them, but now if you go back to one that's like uploaded, oh, now I can do it all of a sudden. Okay, so now it's being helpful. So now I can do it live on stream. So there we go. I'm going to add you right now, Blue Samurai. There you go. See, I think I've got about 5 or 6 of you in there with the wrench. So wherever you turn up. So yeah, that's what I just wanted to show there. People get to know a little bit of my background there. The Lucent is so close to $10,000 Australian. It's teasing me. It's been teasing me for the whole day now. Doesn't want to budge. But it is what it is. I hope you muted yourself, Pollen, and that wasn't me in some weird clicking frenzy.
No, it was me.
I know, I'm always worried that I'm just going to stuff something up, do something wrong.
No, you're good.
Have you guys seen this? Sandman will show include trans writers, Neil Gaiman promises. Neil Gaiman disappointed me severely. I remember I learnt about it at the time, and then I forgot about it, and then I learnt about it again when I did a video on it on Donny Cates. I think it was Donny Cates. No, yeah, it was Donny Cates came out saying that he wants to build bridges. He doesn't want to hurt anyone. He doesn't want to hurt anyone's campaign. He just wants to he does his thing. We'll do our thing, and we don't have to hinder each other. But then someone mentioned, yeah, well, Donny Cates donated $200 to the Mark Wade Defense Fund. And, I'm sure everyone here knows, but just to recap, like Mark Wade, tried to interfere with, did interfere with Zach getting his book into what was it? What was the publisher called? Do you remember the name of the publisher? Antarctic, yeah.
Out of Texas.
Yeah, that's right.
Run by a doctor, I believe.
And that turned out to be very important, and is why the why the trial has gone on for as long as it has. But yeah, so Donny Cates, even if he's just giving money to his friend, you can do that anonymously. You don't have to put your name out there. And the fact that he did put his name on it, that says a lot. It says that he was, he was doing it to signal his support for those kind of shenanigans. And it was very disappointing to see Neil Gaiman was right there next to him, $200 as well. I don't know. Obviously, he and Mark Wade are friendly or something like that. But that was my first disappointment in Neil Gaiman. I've read so many of his books. That was a big part of me kind of learning how to write. I was reading Neil Gaiman books. I read The Sandman, of course. So yeah, this is an interesting article. Neil Gaiman, author of the Sandman comic series, talked about trans characters he has written and how he hopes they'll be handled in the show. Okay, all good so far. Although production of Netflix upcoming blah 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 blah, prolific author affirmed his commitment to a diverse writers' room, promising in an interview that trans writers will be brought to work on the series. In a conversation with fellow science fiction, blah, 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 blah. My biggest request to the Sandman showrunner for when we get the season with Game of You in it is that we have trans men and trans women in the writer's room, not as consultants, but as writers. So he's talking about back in the day, he had lots of trans friends, so that's why he was putting them in his comic. The biggest difference he would do now is that he would have trans people write it. I wouldn't be writing it. At the time he was looking around, he didn't see those writers. So, I mean, I don't know about what you think, Poland, but, if you're going to be writing, especially if that, what do you call it? That that lifestyle, or whatever it is, being a trans person. If you're going for something authentic, absolutely. If that is completely alien to you, just say I wanted to write about a Jamaican doctor and I wanted it to be realistic, it would be silly of me to just sit in my room here in Australia and just start tapping away and hope it would be, close to real. You would consult someone, you would do research and all that sort of stuff. But he seems to be going further. He's talking about he doesn't even think that he could write it. He shouldn't. He's saying he shouldn't write it. He says trans people should write it. So he's basically saying only trans people should write trans characters. Is that what he's saying? Is that how you're reading it?
That's what it seems like to me. That's how it comes across. Now, I'm not familiar with the Sandman, but I assume that there's trans characters in that story.
I don't remember it specifically, but I know that it's it's got like definitely has, it's very weird, and people aren't necessarily they're androgynous is the word I'm looking for, so I don't remember specifically, but he's saying there is, so there is, but why not consultants? What is the importance of having? Does that mean, only black people can write black characters, only white people can write white characters? Where do you draw the line?
I mean, Michael, what business do you have as a main character as a female? You'd have your wife write that. Come on. What are you doing?
Exactly. What? Sure. Like, why does Neil Gaiman think what he does is so insignificant? His voice, his style, everything that he puts into writing, he's just gonna. I know he's not writing the show, but that's what it says to me. That's how he feels. He's saying you have to be a certain thing to write a certain thing. Empathy is not enough. You can't just empathize with a character. And on top of that as well, it says that his characters, the being trans is not just a happenstance. It's not just that this character who is trans. It's that this has to be fundamental to the story. It has to be a part of the story. I don't remember that in the Sandman, but it was a long time ago when I read it. I remember I loved it, so it definitely wasn't. It definitely at the time didn't feel like propaganda or anything like that. So it just seems
they debase characters and frankly people in real life to one facet about them, either their sexuality or their gender identity, whatever happens to be the most socially, I guess, acceptable currency at the time, right? So it's a shame because obviously his characters have a lot more depth than that, and I think he should be the one crafting them just like he did in his books, because I've heard lots of good things about him. I just never read them because, like I said, I'm still new to comics, relatively speaking. So
yeah,
it's pretty absurd.
Yeah, Sandman, I remember really liking it. I remember that was sort of, I was no longer too interested in the superhero stuff at that point. I was, looking for that kind of stuff. I was going into the V for Vendetta and the Watchmen. It's a bit cliche, but all that stuff. And even the superhero stories that I still was reading, I was going back to the 80s and the 70s, and they had a lot more, there's one Spider-Man story called I think it's Kraven's Last Hunt. I love the one. It's really dark. He buries Spider-Man. He essentially thinks he kills him. And he buries him in a grave, and Spider-Man has to kind of like psychologically get through being buried alive and fight his way out. And it's really cool story. Samurai, welcome.
Hey, is my sound working?
It is.
Hail, it is. Samurai.
Do I sound like making? I'm going well. I do recall. Sorry.
I said the bluest of all samurais.
Thank you. What does he say? Wasn't Black Panther created by Nelson Mandela? What?
Yeah.
I do recall the story from Sandman where the whole trans thing comes into play.
Okay.
It's the Game of You story arc starts in issue 32. It's 6 issues, and what it was. Now I forget the exact names of all the characters, but in a shared boarding house are several characters, one of whom is, I think, Rose. It might be Rose, the daughter of the woman who got raped in the very first issue by Destiny. or sorry, by desire. Okay, so I think it's a family relation in there where she's a vortex, blah blah blah, whatever. But she's passed out, and this. Uh-oh. Okay, there's a train coming by. If it's too much, let me know. But she's passed out, and they're trying to figure out what's going on with her, and they've captured an assassin who had come to kill her, and cut his face off. The body was left in a bathtub, nailed the face up on the wall, and cast a spell to make the face talk to them to fess up with what's going on. Now, one of the people in the boarding house was, at the time, a transvestite, so he behaved very much as a woman, and he would tuck or whatever it is. And with the witch who was there, Thessa something is her name, she and two of the two lesbians who lived together in the boarding house with them all put a spell together to go into the dreaming or whatever other world it was to get their lost, passed out friend pulled back into reality. But the transvestite couldn't go with them because he wasn't genuinely a woman.
Oh,
Gaiman
wow.
would never get away with that today.
Definitely not. Good Lord. Yeah, so it sounds like I have to go back and read it. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not on board with this. You have to be a certain thing. Although I am on board with, if we're talking about something that is really necessary to the character, it's not just sort of a background thing. It is necessary to who they are and how they exist. It can get really embarrassing when people try and write, like when out of touch adults try and write teens and they just have no idea how teens talk now, and they're like Watts himself with the skateboard saying, "How you doing, kids?" It is good to have consultants, but I don't know, this sounds like virtue signaling and just unnecessarily over the top. But like, who's to say that you might have the best script writer in the business in the room, but he's not trans or she's not trans, and now, well, I'm sorry, you're not allowed to work on these scenes because of who you are as a person. But we need to get this person in, whether they're as good as you or not, to write these scenes. It just seems backwards to me.
There's nothing wrong with doing some research.
Absolutely. And having consultants, like you said, he made it specifically, not just consultants. Writers. Anyway, Anthony
Zach
Perrone
talked about this with the new Asian line that Marvel's been pushing. How they all have the Asian writers can only write those, and how they get pigeonholed.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And do you remember he was also talking about a guy, and I'm going to blank on the name. He's a black guy who, at some point, only started getting. He was writing Captain America, but at some point, he's only started getting black characters. And he knew exactly why, so he started turning them down. There you go, Christopher Priest. So he turned them down for over a decade, and until they, actually like wanted to come to him as a person, as a writer, not just as the black writer. Because how insulting is that? But they don't think it's insulting; they think it's progressive. So Anthony Perrone is here. Our boys are losing their balls. Our special, exceptional boys, they're turning them into pussies. Thanks, man. Yeah, it was a really fun video to make. It's another bit of little news here. It's such a jib. Well, it's all Ethan, man. Like my animation, that's the packaging that we can send that message out into the world with. So there's a stream about a week ago where Ethan was asked what Comicsgate is, and I only caught the end of his rant, but people were saying in the chat, I've got to animate this, So I checked it out, and it was 25 minutes long. So I was thinking, it meanders a lot, and I was just thinking, I don't know if there's any meat on this, but I thought, well, I don't want to spend too much time looking for other stuff. Some other people have very graciously sent me some other clips from some other people. Hill's V Babyface guy, I can't remember what his name is, AJ or something. He has some good rants. Obviously, Nerdrotic. That's him. I've just found out about him. He's really cool. I love his booming voice.
Yeah, did you like the one that I sent you?
Yes. It's great.
Yeah.
So, I just thought, like, right now with everything that's going on in Comicsgate, it'd be good to have a sort of a Comicsgate one, just to kind of give people, because these videos, they get shared around. So I just thought, like, maybe just kind of introduce people to the concept of what it actually is that we're doing. So I started to distill the 25 minutes of Ethan down. I got it down to about 8. And it is a bit hot fire, but I've got to get this bad boy down to under 2 minutes and 20 seconds, which is going to be a bit of a task. So I'll see if it's possible, but it is. The good thing about it is at 25 minutes, it's a good speech, but it loses its potency. At 8 minutes, it's really good. But if I can distill that down, if I can cut that thing down to 2 minutes, it's going to be like hot fire. It's going to be just nonstop, bang, bang, bang. And there's a lot of the things I look for are, a lot of funny examples that he gives. If he says something in a funny way, a funny thing, then immediately I can go, bang, I can make a visual of that and, have that funny moment in the video.
Ethan's all about his imagery, that's for sure.
Yeah, he just makes it so easy. Some other things that people have sent me are really good speeches, but they don't have any imagery in it that I can use, that can go with. Like, and I think it's as impactful if it's just, I just, take a clip that's really good and it's just a guy sitting there talking. You need those moments to punch, to get the laughter. The people, you get laughter, you're feeling good, listening to the message that people spread it around. That's what we're trying to do, is spread the message around. So hopefully, I'm going to go back to that later, and hopefully I can cut that down. Fingers crossed, because it is quite it's down to 8 minutes. I did cut that last one down from 6 minutes to 2 and 19 seconds. So fingers crossed I can get this one down from 8.
Yeah, it sounds like you have a job ahead of you.
Yeah,
it's tough.
There's a lot of ums and ahs. There's a bit of repeating yourself. There's a bit of diversions and things. But importantly for me, I don't want to be cutting it up. I don't want to be splicing what he's saying, because I definitely want to put the link in there for anyone who goes and listens to it. And I don't want people to listen to the final animation and go there and say, "Oh, actually, he was talking about something else when he said that." So I want to keep it, as realistic to what he was saying. So I'm not moving things around. I'm just cutting things out. So it'll be like 100% proof distilled Ethan.
Yeah, you don't want to do that thing that's going on right now with, was it CNN, claiming that part of their interview with somebody was taken out of context and is being used in a Trump promotional commercial now. And so they filed a cease and desist order. So what's his name? Mr. Ricada did a little video on that, showing what they said was making it out of context. And really, it's a redundancy. A redundancy was removed in the middle of the statement. So somebody was asking, a CNN reporter was asking an interviewee, are you saying that if these things, and then she enumerated what the things were, if these things were not done, enumerate the things, then stuff would have been worse. And the interviewee said something positive about Trump, so they're using that in the commercial. Well, when you remove a redundancy like that, that's not taking something out of context. That's making it more concise and streamlined. I mean, that's a gift. And so you don't want to. CNN is wrong, basically. But I bring up the example, 1, to fill time because we had dead air, and then 2, you want to take out only things that need to be taken out, and you don't misrepresent. It is a challenge.
What a surprise that CNN got something wrong.
No.
Have you guys seen that they're going to start up the WCNN war campaign?
Oh, I thought
WCNN.
I thought that was like the WNBA.
No. War campaign is going to have a news show.
That could be genuinely hilarious.
Yeah. Those guys, they are 110% Comicsgate, that's for sure.
Yeah, and they're funny. So, that's that's what it's all about. I'm going to put in another video here. Actually, no, it's not going to work because, of course, this one doesn't have the audio on it. Let me get it up again. It's not easy running a stream. All right, I'm going to share audio.
Oh, it's Alex. Yo, Alex.
Alex, brother. Alex, do you have a wrench? You do. Yeah. Well deserved, my friend. CNN, but with meme drag. Nice. All right, I'm just going to get this loaded
Alex,
up.
I was in the War Campaign Discord earlier today. That's a chill place there.
I don't Discord. I don't know about Discord. I think I tried to get on once and I just didn't understand it. It was all very confusing to me. So I just tapped out.
I'll help you, Michael.
You'll hold my hand as I go in.
I will.
All right, I'm just going to play something. Let's see. Can you see that? Have you guys seen this? I made a quick 15-second animation about the orcs. Let's play that. It features my very fine voice acting too.
Looks like meat's back on the menu, boys.
I am so sorry. I promise we don't all think you're like that.
What the fuck?
That's it. Let me close it. That's it. I just go. That just popped into my head one night over dinner. Like, I should animate that. It's so crazy. It's so stupid, and it keeps coming up. Periodically. This idea, it's just so dumb. So dumb.
How many American accents do you do?
I can do Wanger, okay, but I have to hear him first. So I have to listen to him for 10 minutes, and then I can do it. And I think that's pretty much with most accents. But the Aussie will always seep through eventually. I'm nothing like Matt Tober Prime. He's the undisputed king of impersonations. Although I haven't heard who's the other one with the good impersonation. Someone was saying the other day.
Is it Triple R?
Maybe. Oh no, Eric Weathers. Eric Weathers does a Darth Sidious apparently that we all have to see and laugh at, but I haven't been able to find it yet. So. It'd be good to pit those two guys together in an impersonation off.
I don't even know who Darth Sidious is.
That's Palpatine. The
no,
the Emperor from Star Wars.
No, I'm sorry. I understood that. I meant who's taken on the nickname.
Oh no. Eric Weathers. We were talking about impersonations the other day. And I was pumping up Matt Tobor Prime, saying he is the undisputed king, and then someone else mentioned, no, it's Eric Weathers. You know Eric Weathers, the letterer and creator of Battle Brick Road.
Okay, I looked at my other screen and moved a window and missed a beat of what you were saying. I got you now. I'm on it.
Okay, yeah. So yeah. So they were like, no, he's the king of this stuff. So yeah, we've got to get those two in a stream together and get them battling. So how does Discord work, Poland? What is Discord?
It's a voice chat program, but it's expanding. It has they have video now enabled on it. You can also share images and links on a given server, kind of like you would be looking at a feed or something. So when you upload something there, it actually uploads it to Discord. And that's probably one of the biggest features that people liked because, before there was TeamSpeak and Ventrilo, but those were strictly just voice over IPs. So this is more social. Yeah, go ahead.
You go into a room, you get a link or whatever. You go into the War Campaign Discord, and it's just a whole lot of people chatting. Is that what it is?
Yeah. So every Discord is set up a little bit differently. Theirs has 3 main voice channels. And usually, everyone's just hanging out in one of those. And then there's a bunch of link and text channels. Like there's one for self-promotion and YouTube, and that's where I put your link for this stream. And then they have another channel for memes of course, and then Comicsgate news and announcements and stuff like that. So
WCNN sounds good. That's I look forward to seeing what they do with that.
yeah, it should be entertaining. I use it to keep in touch with a lot of my friends because we live all across the country, pretty disparate places. So it's a good way for us to touch base every day, play a few games before we go to bed, after work, or sometimes just hang out. So that's where I was right before I came on here.
All right. Sounds like I need to investigate further because it's something I always hear, obviously. I always hear, on the Discord or this and that. But I don't know. I just never delved into it. I was just always on YouTube, because if I'm drawing or something, I just have something in the background. I'm not really interacting. I'm not giving. I'm just receiving.
Michael's all about
Selfish.
I know, very selfish of me, isn't it? I try to give back. That stream we did the other day, the Comicsgate Corner, that went really well. Got a lot of views on that. People love that sort of stuff. Seeing all the different campaigns going on.
Yeah, Michael, we were getting to some spicy topics there.
Were we? It's all blur with me. What spicy topics are we talking about?
Just some of the current issues, some of
yeah.
the current idea battles going on. Some personality battles.
Yeah. I don't mind talking about that stuff as long as we don't talk about anyone badly behind their back. I think it's fine if we're just talking ideas and hashing stuff out. That's what CG is all about, isn't it?
Yep.
Yeah, Alex, we do need to get me to 5 figures. Is that what it is? 5 figures, baby? In USD. Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. That's a while off, I think. I need to get on some bigger shows. I've been sending out feelers today to some different people on YouTube, just sort of saying, hey, I don't know if you need anyone to come on your show. As a YouTuber, you're always looking for something to talk about. So I know that if anyone kind of gets in touch with me and says, do you want to come on my show? I would say yes. I've only had one request so far, and I said yes. So yeah, I think, well, maybe they're sort of the same way. They're looking for things to talk about that are new and fresh. And there's my campaign. It's only.
He wasn't, Alex.
A few days old. No, I wasn't on the live stream. No, I missed War Campaign over the last couple of days. I think just mostly timing, but I haven't been invited on or anything like that either. And but yeah, I don't even know who I should get in touch with there out of all those guys. Ro? Yeah, right. All right, I'll shoot him a message.
I think his DMs are open on Twitter.
Are they? Oh, cool. Yeah.
I believe
he doesn't follow me, so yeah, that's why I hadn't really. Yeah.
Just don't wear anything with buttons.
Yeah. Maybe I should wear. I don't know if you guys know those barbecue aprons that have the nipples on it and stuff. And that way I can appease the War Campaign gods without. I don't know.
It's
too much of a fool of myself.
Tug's DMs? Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I think Tug was talking about on Twitter that he was going to start doing more promotional streams as well to kind of get away from some of the drama.
Yeah, he's kind of following in. Well, John started up again, and Cecil did that for the first time. I think that's exactly that's what he's talking about, like a rotating 5-minute each promotional stream. So yeah, I mean, I like that. I said I'm definitely in. He liked that tweet, so I don't know. I think that's going on in 2 days. He said Thursday, so that's our Friday. So I think that's in 2 days.
Tug?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I have Twitter
hopefully
open.
I can get on that.
Yeah, well, I could just flip over to Twitter because it's open. I'm logged in right now and just start insulting people. If they want to argue, give them the link to the stream.
Yeah.
That's in the War Campaign Discord, but unfortunately, because of the time, I think most people are already out. So
yeah, it's I don't know, I did a stream, this is my how many streams is this? 4th. So the first one went really well. We got about 20 people in here. The second one, not so much, because I was doing it and pretty much as soon as I went live, Ethan went live straight after.
That will kill a stream.
He's kind of jealous.
I didn't want to. Yeah, he wanted to steal some of my limelight. I didn't want to just end it because that's weird. You know, Ethan's here, so what's the point? Like, you know, I said I'm going to stream and talk to. There were people there, so you know, we chatted, and it just wasn't as big. It's going to be more interesting the more people here, the more active the chat is. And then, yeah, the last one was really good as well. And they all happen around this time. So. Yeah, I was waiting earlier. And Adam Post was on. Mandy was on as well. A few other people. So I try to subscribe to as many Comicsgate people as I can, so that I can see really quickly on the site who's streaming at any given time.
Well, about an hour and a half before you started tonight. Or today, I think I know what time it is where you are, but I started looking at, I think this is Bancroft's usual time. I got my buddy here. He's actually asleep on the floor next to me. He's passed out cold. He's been walking through the forest on a mountain for about a day and a half.
That'll do it.
Yeah, so he's fine. Anyway, I was hoping to introduce him because he and I are going to be working on the car together tomorrow. He goes by Dofter. Anyway, so I looked at the usual time that you jump on, and you weren't on, and then we weren't paying attention to the what do you call them, the notifications on YouTube, and mine are always late anyway. But this, oh geez, but when you first got on, we were talking about different times we've pooped in the woods. So if you're ever short of material, so,
sounds like an interesting topic. There must be a lot of techniques involved in that.
You know, when you find that
burial methods.
When you find that special tree root with the right shape on a fallen tree, and it's at the right height, you know, it's just perfect, man. That's Anthony here says something though.
Well, that's some information there.
I fucking hate my ex. Can you make a video about her mental fuckery? Not off the top of my head, but it's not something that I'm against. I don't know. Is that something that people want to hear about? Alex says, Red Gaze is a nice fella doing lots of creative promos. Yeah, I do watch a few Red Gaze streams, and yeah, they're really chill. I guess I feel like we might have a bit of the same personality, a bit laid back, a bit chill. I haven't got in touch with him yet, but yeah, no, I do enjoy his streams. I've been in a couple, and you comment, and he's always really interactive with the chat, and that's what I like. I love when people talk to the chat, even when it gets hard because they get really big. It always freaks me out when I see people with these full chats and they just never interact with them. So what's the point? What's the point of streaming? Just make a video.
Ethan did an open chat earlier today.
Oh, really? Did he?
Yeah, where you could join in. He had Mr. Biggins on and Frege. And I got in there briefly, but it was towards the end, so I spoke my piece, and he's like, okay, moving on. It was really abrupt.
Yeah, he was. I thought that was too quick with you in particular.
You were there?
Just by accident. I watched it later while I was working. I was listening to it, and I was like, I know that voice. And then, and nothing rude, just accidental. But it was like, Poland should get another 30 seconds, but no.
Yeah, I don't know if it was because of what I brought up. I mean, I was kind of caught off guard when they brought me in because I was working. On something on my other monitor, and I had been in the queue for a while. And all of a sudden, I was in. I was like, oh shoot! I was in the middle of writing a work email, and then all of a sudden I'm talking to EVS and Frege and Biggins, so I kind of just spat everything out that was on my mind. But
you were like a deer in headlights.
Yeah, for a second, But you always fall back on the tried and true held to chat.
Absolutely, you can't go wrong with that.
No, and I was just telling him. I mean, my message to EVS today was, people need to stop assuming personal animus anytime there's a disagreement, and that was. And okay. There wasn't too much response to that, but I think it's true. There's a lot of bad blood right now.
Well, he agreed with you, and I should have written this down because now you've reminded me of what you said. I disagree with you, and now I have animus towards you. I'm kidding.
Oh no,
I'm kidding.
no, I'm sad.
No.
Yeah, like maybe his I don't know. I didn't see it or anything, but I do know that sometimes he has just kind of had a bit of a move along attitude from time to time, and I don't know if it's personal or whatever, but I know that maybe he just didn't want to talk that stuff. I don't know.
No, I thought it was a good guideline.
Yeah, the what's funny is that I only had the StreamYards open up at that point. So also when I was out, I couldn't even hear his response, right? So I thought I had just been
Yes.
disconnected. So I had no idea what had happened. And I had to go back and actually watch it like Samurai after the fact to hear the whole conversation, you know? I was like, we had an exchange, but I did not hear the response.
Right, yeah. I don't know. I mean, he had one not that long ago as well, like a week ago, and it was just unfortunate. It was right when I was finishing work. I had to go to the supermarket and a whole bunch of stuff, and Rob Arnold was like messaging saying, "Get the F on Ethan's stream right now," and I was like, "Oh my god, I had no idea he was still going," and yeah.
Yeah, I should have just plugged you, Michael. That's how I should use my time.
Yeah, I've paid a few super chats, and you just never know like what frame of mind he's going to be in at the time that he reads it. So he may be just be trying to get through things quickly, get on, just kind of get through everything, and but sometimes something will stick. And I remember one super chat I did. This wasn't a promotional chat at all. It was just a kind of like a pro Comicsgate. I think I said there's a lot of good vibes going on in Comicsgate, and he spoke. That super chat sent him off for about 20 minutes speaking about Comicsgate. So I think it's just kind of roulette with him as to what he's interested in talking about at the time, because there's obviously hundreds and hundreds of people who want to get his attention at any given time.
Yeah, and that's a very charitable way to look at things, which I believe we don't give. We've said this before. We don't give people enough of that. We take things in the least charitable light, rather than what Poland was saying earlier about disagreeing with somebody doesn't mean we need animus.
Yeah. There's as I go, more people come into Comicsgate. I get to know more of them. Some of them I'm just not gelling with personality wise, and that's fine. You just
it's a big group.
Be perfectly polite, and you're not going to go out of your way to go hang out with them. You're not going to invite them to hang out with you, but you just leave it where it is. And I think we can do a lot more of that. I just wanted to point out Anthony Perrone. Fucking love my boy Frager. Go now and show some love to his campaign. Hell yeah. He was on Adam Post. I was listening to them chat. They were Adam Post. I was saying in the chat, he's like you're sitting by a campfire with your friends, and you're probably getting stoned or something. And that's what it's like just listening to him on a stream. He has these, stream of consciousness kind of conversations, and it's all really valuable stuff. It's a bit like watching him draw. He just goes. It's all on automatic, but it's all valuable. It's all good stuff. So yeah, definitely hail Frager. He's awesome.
Most of the time I think he is stoned.
Absolutely, and he admits it. He's not hiding it at all. We can't all agree and get along with everyone all at the same time. Not in something as big as this. Absolutely, we just have to accept that, and we don't have to attack each other all the time.
Yeah, I saw a bunch of stuff today on Twitter about the Walmart stands. Because Mitch's books are there. And so many people had mixed feelings about that. And I said, it would have been, I guess, a nice, the ultimate thing, of course, would be for people to have their books in their hands by now. But if not that, at least some acknowledgement and the credit to those books saying, thanks to the generosity of our backers, this is all possible. Kind of like they used to do for Reading Rainbow back in the day. Thanks to the generous contributions of our readers or our viewers, Yeah.
I'm a kind of a guy who, when I back a book, because I'm usually backing so many, it's not that I forget about it, but I just put it away somewhere in my head. So I'm not really waiting for it. I'm excited when I get it, but I'm not really waiting for it with bated breath. So it's hard for me to get emotional about this stuff because I'm not very emotional to begin with. But at the same time, absolutely, I understand 100% why people are pissed, because it is obscenely late, and it does look like, he did just sort of put the campaign that he was running just to the side while he did his other thing. And as good and big and whatever that other thing is, he did put the other campaign to the side. And it's a shame because it looks fantastic. It still looks amazing. And I love the other Allegiance art ones.
Right. And
So
everyone he's got working for him they're all great folks. It's a shame that, I feel so conflicted about it. I didn't even back the original book, but I just think for the people that did back, it's a tough pill because it seems like it was a little bit of a trial balloon in order to, springboard Allegiance Arts, which is all well and good, but just tell us from the beginning that's what your intention is. And I'm sure that people would have been behind them, just be forthright.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, not, this is just pure speculation, but I get that feeling as well that they had this kind of planned from the start, that that's what they were going to do. That they didn't just get a whole bunch of money and get a lot of success and then decide, okay, now we've got to, go on this crazy, start this whole new business. I think they sort of had that planned out, that that's what they wanted to do. And then they just also realized that if they wanted to launch Red Rooster at that time, that was the time. They strike while the iron is hot, and it was blazing hot at that time, and they made a lot of money from that. There was never even a consideration at that time that I wouldn't back Red Rooster. It was, and I had no idea who Mitch was. All I knew was Ethan. I was familiar with Elizabeth Brightwise's colors, and she was and remains one of my favorite colorists in the entire industry. So yeah, there was no doubt that I was going to back it. But yeah, at the same time, like I said, I find it hard to get emotional about it now, just because it's so long in the past, and I do feel like I haven't watched too much. I've heard clips of the Mitch's streams and stuff, and yeah, I'm not going to say I love what I heard him saying. It did seem a bit dismissive, and he was getting a bit agitated and angry at people who were calling him out on what has objectively happened. But I don't know. Do you guys think he'll be able to crowdfund ever again?
I think even with Ethan's blessing, I don't think it's going to fly. I don't think people will back it again.
Yeah, now that he has a company name, the perception changes. Say, for example, when I erroneously gave many people a chance because of Ethan, and that's not to blame Ethan. That's just we all learn together. So I backed Tim Lim's books with Mark Pellegrini, which are hilarious and they're very well made. But then there's an abbreviated version that comes out on Antarctic Press. Do I really want to pay $25 plus shipping to get sketchbook material in the back when I can pay $5 to get it through Diamond?
Yeah.
I think that's a reason too, Blue, why Ethan's been more circumspect about who he has, because it's not only him feeling betrayed at times, but also I think he feels like he betrays the audience, because he gives his blessing, and then we go on to back the book, and then we feel burned, and then I think he shoulders some of that blame. Like he thinks of himself as personally responsible. He's like, I led people to back this book, and now I've misled them essentially. So I think another reason why he's been more careful recently.
Yeah, were you here during the whole Detective Dead Critias thing?
Yeah. Yep.
I've pushed. I didn't have super chats at the time because I wasn't on YouTube, but I was emailing as a fan using my regular email, not my Blue Samurai stuff. To when the guys were all smaller, I didn't realize how big Ethan was. But the first Detective Dead I suggested it to Ethan. I was getting to be on friendly terms with Zach as a stranger, like, a fan mail here and there. But Zach would answer more than just 2 words. And, since once I knew he got bigger, I just dropped that off. Like, if you get really popular, Michael, we'll never talk again because you're busy. So no offense, you're just busy. But
yeah,
I wrote Ethan and said, hey, you really got to look at this. And that was the first Detective Dead. It failed outright. Then it got relisted, and Critias would put little super chats saying, check out my book and this thing. And finally it got picked up. And then we all got burned on it, which is sad. So it's really hard to want to say to somebody like Ethan back then, hey, check this out, because then you're contributing to the burn.
Yeah, and Ethan was plugging that book hard, so I can understand why he would definitely feel gun shy now about people that he doesn't know, and because he must feel it must weigh on him, because that's a lot of money that went out of our pockets into Critias's rent,
Life.
I guess. Life. And that fan base of his, the ones that back his books and turn up onto his streams, they're the ones who made him filthy rich, and they're the ones that come out to bat for him when all the mainstream are attacking him. So yeah, I can totally understand that he would be wanting to be protective of that group, which I presume includes all of us, with in any way that he can. Alex says people fund labels, presses, studios all the time on Indiegogo. He should have been upfront, do that, not flash a book, get the money, then go MIA for 2 years just to come out of the hole with a Walmart deal. Yeah, exactly.
As far as I understand, and I could be mistaken, but as far as I understand, the whole idea to put up a company was only percolating when they put up the campaign, and then it started to coalesce more later when they invited Ethan into it. He declined, and then they went ahead with their company anyway. So it wasn't, let's do a company and then and then they decided we're going to put up a campaign first. From what I've heard, the company idea may or may not have been there, but it came along later.
Well, they were able to attract those additional big name investors because they were able to tout the figures on the Indiegogo.
Yeah,
because look at our sales, and then they multiplied that times 5, and they said this is what we could potentially make down the road, and so they were able to get that stuff. That's why I'm saying they use that as leverage. They should have told us that's what they were doing, because obviously the book wasn't the priority. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, having watched their progress and the streams I've caught over the years.
That sounds right, doesn't it? Like that's what it feels like. You would have an idea in your head, maybe it isn't fully coalesced yet. You know what's wrong with the industry, you know what needs to happen, you know that given the opportunity you could set in motion something like that, but you just don't have the I think we can hear your friend snoring, Samurai.
I'll go roll him over.
Yeah, you just don't have exactly what you said, like that leverage. It's just not a possibility, so you're not really devoting much time to pursuing it. But when the moment came, and it came, I guess they had to act fast. And yeah, you're right, we didn't hear anything about that sort of stuff. We were just thinking we were backing Red Rooster, the comic book.
Yep. I didn't even back it, like I said, but I just feel like as a movement, I think one of the most I know there's been a lot of talk recently about different ideas in Comicsgate, but one thing we can all agree on is that most of us are here because we've been disillusioned with other things, right? I came straight from other mediums. I didn't even come from comics. And when you break trust like that, and we're already in a place where we feel like we're trying to take shelter, I don't think there's much coming back from that, right?
Yeah, it's especially now because the competition is that much stiffer.
Yeah, back then it was only like 3 people.
Yeah,
it was Mike and Ethan and Zach and I guess Mitch. So like 4 big campaigns back then.
Yeah, and I can't remember exactly when Doug came on, but yeah, it felt like there really wasn't that much to back on Indiegogo at that time. So yeah, it's I just don't see, you know, with all this bad blood, and you know, I've got nothing against Mitch Breitweiser, but he's the way he went about it, like Alex said, just disappearing for 2 years because he's not really internet savvy. He can't really doesn't really jive with the whole memeing, internet culture, and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, so whenever someone disappears for a prolonged period of time, yeah, that's always sort of sends up red flags in my mind. And yeah, it's unfortunate that it came out the way that it did.
Yeah, like I said, it's a shame because I feel like our principles are probably in line. Like everything we were talking about in the last stream about the culture and, you know, these deliberate steps that are being made to deconstruct certain things. Like I think Mitch and Allegiance are definitely on their side in that. It's just, I mean, I wish I could go like conscience free, guilt free to Walmart right now down the road and go pick up all their books because they look great. But it doesn't feel right. I mean, just knowing the history of it, you know?
I've got them on my wall. Obviously not Red Rooster. But yeah, that's from the campaign that they ran after the fact. The second one.
I think those are supposed to be on better print than the ones in Walmart.
Possibly. Yeah, they seem pretty good to me, but they're still comic books. I don't know. It does say grandfather edition or something like that on it.
Yeah.
But you know, it's funny. I don't really consider those to be collectible in a sense that, say, a Jawbreakers or Cyberfrog is collectible. I just don't ascribe as much worth to them because they are definitely they're wanting to stick with the periodical method, you know, the old existing periodical method where comic books come out monthly, and they just don't have as much worth, and they're not premium collectible items like you know, most other people are going for now. You know, Zach and Ethan were talking the other day saying it's hard to find Jawbreakers on eBay because people are holding on to them.
Yeah.
So if it's hard to find, the value goes up. But yeah, I just don't get the same feeling from these Allegiance books. I have a feeling just the way they're presenting them is more, you know, how normal comic, you know,
right?
How we all know comics to be.
There's obviously a space in the market for that. You know, as opposed to like Rob was on here the other day saying how these Indiegogo books, you know, we are baseline $25. These are premium products. These are, you know, the highest quality. You know, usually come signed by the actual author in question, and or the artist, and that's how we're selling them. And I think it's a good route to go. You know, for people who are serious. You know, especially if you're not spending anything else anymore. Since if you're one of those who just isn't buying the mainstream stuff anymore and spending $100 a month or whatever it is, this is a pretty good alternative.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's me. And you know, if you get my book, what do you get? You get a signed book. It'll be, you know, it'll be in the perfect bound. You know, the cover will be nice and thick. Hopefully, we'll get that UV gloss on it, signed on the inside. Like I said, if you came on the first day, you'll get the sketch card. Maybe you get another tier. Maybe you get a poster. You'll probably, you know, at this point, you'll be getting a sticker, a poster print, all that sort of stuff. And it's a completely different. It's almost a different product in a way, and it's a completely different approach to what you're selling.
Yeah. Looking at the Breitweisers, or Mitch's at least, I didn't look at Elizabeth's, but just his YouTube channel, I was thinking one of the big salves for healing the wound that gets caused by let's see how Alex has been describing it is just gone in the wind, or going with the wind. Oh, I'm sorry. That's something else. Anyway, ghosting everybody. One of the big salves is doing exactly the opposite and communicating. So we really needed to hear where the updates were. Well, apparently he changed channels. They dropped out of doing streams on YouTube, but I'm told that they were up on not Indiegogo, excuse me,
Instagram, right?
Thank you, on Instagram a whole bunch. Well, did I know that? Am I getting? And here's I hate these updates on Indiegogo that are essentially a page and a half typed, single spaced.
Yeah,
it just no. You know what? Give me an update every day with one small bullet point in it instead of a single update that's 3 paragraphs, because I can handle and digest that much better, or at least make bullet points if you're going to send everything at once. But no, these walls of text are just I can't go for them. So I thought I'd take a peek at the campaign. He's got an update from April 29th. It says he's on the downhill side of the 68-page book. He's soon to be inking the 3rd act, and then just very generically, Elizabeth's coloring looks fantastic. And if I go look at Mitch's YouTube in particular, we've got 8 months ago, these are his posts, that's 13 different videos, 8 months, 7, 6, 6, 3 months, 3 months, 1 month, 1 month, 1 month, and then 4 weeks, 1 week ago, 1 week ago, 1 week ago. So that's how frequently he's at least getting on YouTube, where a lot of us started with him. And so he's had some hiccups in the communication just to do what Ethan did, which was we were all very patient with Ethan and gave him a lot of elbow room on how late Cyberfrog Blood Honey was, because look at all the communication he gave us. Not just streaming, but actually telling us this is what's going on. Here's a delay I ran into. And I think he, not to be too negative, but I don't know any other word for it, slightly mismanaged a couple things here and there and came right out and owned it very quickly. Where he said, "Oh, I was working on this, and that got in the way of that, and now I'm back on this other thing."
No, he totally mismanaged a few things, and yeah, you're exactly right. He was just open about it. He had no idea what he was doing, and thankfully, he had some smart people from inside the industry to help him with some of this stuff. But yeah, he made mistakes. He made promises for things that he couldn't have known he couldn't really deliver on. Like he said with the chromium cover, that was a nightmare. The chromium cover threw him, in all kinds of places, because he had no idea. First of all, no one was really making them anymore. He had no idea, about signing on them and things like that. And the thickness of the book that he'd promised couldn't be put into the chromium cover. So yeah, there were big issues that, but yeah, exactly like you said, he was talking every day about this stuff. Anyone who was watching Ethan during that entire, from launch to fulfillment period of Cyberfrog, you were kept up to date on every single little thing that was happening in the campaign.
Yep. And most recently,
go on.
Yeah. I was going to say, most recently with the Ribbit coin thing, he said, "Oh, yep, that was a mistake. I done goofed."
Yeah. He's just a guy. He's just a guy standing in front of the chat, asking you to buy his frog book. Yeah. So I agree with you completely, Samurai. That had Mitch
keep the channels open.
Doesn't have to be daily. I understand, especially if you're launching a new company. And, sometimes, I do just want to draw or whatever, life happens, and I can't make a video today. Regularly, and keep everyone be as transparent as possible. That's the benefit that we have. That's what people love in this. It's part of that transparency. It's part of the gamification of this whole process. People talk about not doing crowdfunding campaigning, but just opening an online store. I just completely say that you're just not going to succeed like that. This whole Indiegogo thing, it's a game, and that's why people love it, because you can see it happening in real life. Everyone has numbers next to their name, and they're all competing with each other. And the fans and the people who watch it, and especially the people who back, they're part of the game. They're in the game. And it's why it's going the way it is. So, yeah. Hey, Archgeek is here. Hey, Arch, how you going, buddy? Oh, and Comics with Callaway's here. Comics with Callaway has a channel, you guys. Definitely go check it out. He did a little video, a bit like my Comicsgate Corner, where he was talking about talking about what was going on in Comicsgate, what's on Indiegogo, and he very kindly read out a bit of my what I've posted on my campaign there, the on the double page spread. So thank you for doing that, man. That was really cool. I still feel a bit weird. I'm not used to hearing people talk about the Lucent. It's still awkward for me, but you know, it is what it is. It's what you want. You want people talking about your book. So yeah, thanks for doing that. That was really cool. Yeah, so what were we talking about? I get distracted.
Michael, check out Anthony's comment there to you.
Anthony. Is that a new one?
Yeah.
It hasn't shown up in my thing yet. Just one sec. I can't highlight it yet because it hasn't shown up in the back end. I was just checking out your campaign. Yeah, I'm totally going to back it in the $100-ish perk. Can I do it until next week? Thank you, brother. Thank you, Anthony. That's amazing. That's the stuff I love to hear. Yeah. Wow. Thank you. Always got to have those sort of higher perks on there for the people who really want to support you.
I guess that would be the signed book, sketch, and poster.
Let's take a look. I've got it set on. Are you talking about $100 Australian or $100 US? $100 US would be nice.
The US jumps from 84
I don't know if I've got
to
anything.
97.
I don't know if I've got anything for $100 US. I'm going to change it to US though, just because most people watching are from the States. It's because I had it on Australian because they're so close to the 10K in Australian dollars. Yes, you can get a signed book, sketches. So that's the head sketch and a sketch card and a poster for $84 at the moment. You get that $1 discount because of the dollar.
Anthony says he can do up to 200. Michael,
woo,
generous man.
Whoa, well. Let me tell you, what have I got for you? You can do add-ons. You can do add-ons. Like you can add on as many head sketches as you want. You could. There's the $200 is the page art though. That's the page art tier. You'll get the book, signed book, plus a page of art. And yeah, I'm spending a good amount of time on these. These are super detailed. Like it's a replication of the actual art. So I don't know if you know, but I'm a digital artist. But I am painstakingly replicating a page of the art from the book on a original. It's it's going to be a one of a kind, hand drawn by me page of art.
Thank you, Anthony.
That's really kind.
Why is the chat in the back end? It's not up to date with the
StreamYards has I believe a 15-second delay compared to the YouTube live feed.
Yeah, right. Okay. Yeah. Thanks so much, Anthony. That is really cool.
He says you should get the same support that he sent to the Fraga campaign.
Ooh. Man, Anthony sounds like a big Fraga fan, and yeah, I wanted you to know, Anthony, I am too. From the moment that guy turned up, I had no idea who he was. People were talking about him like he's a guy from the 90s, and pretty much the second I heard him speak, I was like, yeah, this guy, this is the guy I can just sit and listen to. There's so much knowledge in there, and he's a really real guy. He speaks from the heart. He's very genuine. He gets sappy, but he owns it. And he's like, I'm gonna get sappy now. And he tells his dad jokes, and yeah, I'm just really happy that he's here.
Yeah, I haven't backed his book yet, but I most likely will. I'm still trying to decide if it's my cup of tea or not. But I'm a big '90s fan. I have the Witchblades and the Tomb Raider run from the 90s and the early 2000s. So I think I will enjoy it. I'm still figuring out, I guess, what tier I want to do. But yeah.
Yeah, I'm what are you guys laughing at?
You'll find out in 15 seconds. That's not the
wrestle you for the super. What are we laughing at here?
Next one.
Now I have animus towards you.
That's the word of the night. You're all
Yeah,
welcome
right.
for that.
Yeah, man, that's a great word, animus. That would be a cool character, animus. From a '90s book,
Yeah.
animus. It'd be someone who turns into an animal and has beef against you. Yeah, did you guys know that Frager was a director on the 3rd season of the Ricky Gervais show, the animated show? Yeah. He's worked in so many things. He's got a little bio of him on his campaign page. He's done so many stuff, and all that Ricky Gervais stuff is like I lived off that for years. That's what I based my cartoons on. Is that a Viva Vendetta symbol, House of R? I'll have to wait to get an answer, so I have to go on to something else. But yeah, Frager, I can't back. I've got a list in the back of my head of books that I need to back. I still haven't backed the Expendables. I want to get that. I still haven't backed so many things because I was saving up for that bloody honeycomb box, and I finally bought it. I finally bit the bullet, and I got it. So now I'm free. But now I have to wait for another payday before I can get that.
Yeah, that's. I might have to stagger this out a little bit. Thankfully, Zach leaves most of his campaigns in demand until they go to the printer. So,
and I've been hearing really good things about a 6-gun gorilla. They were talking about it. The guy's called Brian Christgau, and he's a super nice guy. He's one of those guys. I was only on a stream with him for a few minutes, and he made me feel like we were best friends. He's just like, he's got that personality. He's just like, he makes you feel good when you're chatting to him. So he was talking about his book, and I guess I'd thought about 6-gun gorilla, what everyone else thinks about it. It's going to be a silly story about a gorilla with guns. And he was saying, no. He plays it super straight. And everyone says hilarious. It's not what you think it is. It's like a straight up story with this gorilla with a gun. And I was like, well, that's got me intrigued. So yeah, that's another book I've got on the list as well. There's just so many on the list. There's so many cool books out there. Anthony was going to ask if I backed Cyberfrog. I got the Ides of March. I've backed everything Cyberfrog that's ever come out. Yeah, I'm definitely in the cult of Ethan Van Sciver. I'm not apologetic about that at all.
Hashtag cult gain.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm a huge fan, and I didn't get the coins, thankfully. But
I see 2 line arts behind you.
Yeah, that's only 2 of them. I got another one here somewhere.
Yeah, he's got his vampies too.
Yeah, I got everything. I got everything, man. I got a bunch of the what are they called? The ash cans too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So I got the Ides of March, of course, and then but the just thankfully the beautiful what would you call it? Fate, destiny, that the Aussie dollar just decided to commit suicide and jump off a cliff right as he launched Wrecked Planet. So it was at one point it was over $400 to get the thing. Thankfully, it came back a bit.
God.
So yeah, but I mean, even so, at the end of the day, it's going to be a lot of stuff crammed in there. But thankfully, I didn't have to pay $400 for it. But I paid pretty bloody close. So that's why I've been saving up this whole time. I've been putting away $100 out of my income every payday. And I haven't been able to back anything else since I decided to start doing that.
I remember when I was in Ukraine for a bit, just dealing with exchanging for hryvnia. That I think they were hryvnia. I think that's how you say their currency, but whatever. And because I was exchanging, I was constantly aware of exchange rates and all that. But I think, well, it's kind of like what I asked the other night about when pigeons poop on your car, and you hear Americans complain about it. What I was getting at was the answer should be, that's a nice first world problem. My dog just got ripped open by a kangaroo. So we're concerned about the dollar being becoming inflated because of recent events. But how, when you say suddenly the Australian dollar just jumped off a cliff, how does that affect your daily life though?
Oh, not so much. It's only got to do with imports and exports and things like that. When it went down, and luckily after a couple of weeks it went back up again, and it has been flattening off and it's slowly declining. But it has pluses and bonuses. So one of the pluses for me is each one of these books I get more money for that I sell. The negative is anything that we get from overseas is more expensive. So it's good and bad, but I'm just hoping for a little bit of stability. And before I was launching this campaign for the last couple of weeks, I've been watching the currency markets and looking at predictions and everything. And fingers crossed, they're saying that. I mean, I don't understand any of this stuff, but they're saying that the dollars will find some stability for the rest of the year. So I hope that happens, but no one's right all the time. But I work in the company I work for. We import things in US dollars, so that affects the company I work for a great deal. But me personally, in my day-to-day life, not so much.
Okay, so it's very different from when we have these quantitative easing things in the States. I know the price of bread is literally going to go up in a month.
Well, yeah. Well, when you guys do those easing, what are they, Q4, Q whatever it is, or whatever it is, you got so much. You're talking that's so much money in the U.S. economy, and there's so many people there that it just has to. It has to. We're talking billions and billions, if not trillions of dollars, just sort of being invented out of thin air. There's no way it couldn't have, because we're talking so much. Like if Australia did that, I just don't think it would be that big of a deal, because we'd only be talking kind of pennies compared to what you guys are talking about when you do it.
Okay. And I think I'm also a bit more concerned about all these boring topics that tend to get people to turn the stream off, because I also have acquaintances in Australia through my church, and so I think about Australians a bit. But I think Alex just brought up something very pertinent. Everything in Australia is expensive. Comics from with Callaway. Are you Australian?
Yeah, he's Aussie. Yeah, if you want to hear a real Aussie accent, check out his channel. He's got the genuine Aussie way of talking, and you're absolutely correct, man. The cost of living in Australia has gone through the roof. Someone my age or younger has almost no hope of buying a house and living in any kind of normal situation. Like if you don't live with your parents, like even if you get married, if you don't live with your parents until you're like 35 and just save every single cent that you have, you just have no hope, because the cost of a house, say for instance, the cost of a house might have gone up from a couple of $100,000 to $1.5 million in the same period when the average wage went up a few $1,000s a year. That's the situation that we find ourselves in. So it's and that's happened across everything too. Groceries, everything. It used to cost us $50 to go and get like a full thing, and now it costs us $350.
Jeez.
So, and our wages have not risen. We're just, I guess, poorer now in that sense. So, sorry, what was the good question here?
By the way, Australia and the college town I live in are very much the same. You can't afford a house here because you can never make the down payment. But Alex was saying the comic smell is the drug. And then he says some other things. Yes, the smell of comics is a drug. It really is.
Dude, yeah, I've mentioned this a bunch of times. When I had a bit of money, a bit of spare cash back in the day, I would buy comics, and I've got a whole collection going all the way back from the 30s and every decade forward. And God, the different smells. It's like, I'm a junkie when I get in there and smell all the different comics. Love that stuff. What's Callaway saying now? Yeah, dude, it is. These last few years have been tough, and my whole young adult life, I'm a professional. I went to university. I got a good job in the field that I'm working. I studied in the field and I got a job in that field straight away out of university, and I've been working as a professional ever since. My wife and I believe firmly in having the parent here to raise the kids. So if we don't believe in the shipping off our kids to daycare to be raised by other people. So even though she does have a job, she does work, it's not full-time work. So we're kind of, I wouldn't say we're like one income house, we're one and a bit income household. And yeah, it's tough, man. If you don't have two incomes, and I'm talking like two good incomes, it used to be a case in Australia that if you made over $100,000 a year, you were flying. You were living the high life, and that wasn't that long ago. And then all of a sudden, $100,000 is barely enough to get by on, and you're just treading water. So it's crazy. It's crazy how quickly it all happened. Delta's here. Delta Spurg Force.
Whoops.
Is that what you're going with now, Delta? It's beer. Is that what you settled on?
Yeah.
We've moved past the meh. Is everyone predicting that there's going to be like faction wars between the beers and the mias?
No, I'm convinced that Comicsgate is an Australian movement that Zach and Ethan hijacked in order to make it appear to be their own. That's what it is.
Z-Russ is here too, man. How you going? Hail. Thanks for coming, guys. Yeah. Could be, man. There's a lot of us.
Delta, it was great talking to you earlier.
He says Mia is dead. Look, he's bringing the news straight from the source. Mia is dead. It came, it burned bright, and then it burned out like a supernova. And Alex says he's in the Nye. That's a bit what the Knights of Ni, isn't it? Nye.
Just about.
Alex says he's the Slavic faction. That reminds me of the stream Ethan something about Ethan's stream earlier today.
Yes.
David, what's his? Okay, Paul. Now I'm distracted. What's so funny?
I think I know which part of the stream you're talking about, but please go ahead.
Okay, maybe not. But if this is not it, I want you to tell your thing. What's his name? David with the Red Eyes book.
Oh yeah, David Fried.
David.
Yeah.
He got on there, was very polite, made his points, and he was given just a little more breathing room and not being hurried or anything. And he never mentioned that he had a book. And even
Never.
Adam posted in the chat was saying David has a book, and it just lost opportunity.
Do you know whose book he did mention?
Who?
Michael's.
Yes.
Did he really?
Yeah,
On Ethan's stream?
he did. Yep.
Oh wow! Thank you, David. Was that David who did that?
Yeah, he made up for my my laxity there.
David, thank you, but don't do that, man. Your book looks great. Get out there and plug it, man. But thank you. I'll have to go back and watch that. Like I said, I've been drawing and working and figuring things out today, so I only caught a little bit of that stream. But yeah, well, thank you, man. I'll have you on. We'll have you on and talk about your book.
Yeah,
Well, it's not going to be to the same number of people as on Ethan's channel, but it looks like these guys are going to be doing this more and more often. So hopefully you'll get another chance.
Anytime we're in a chat, a big chat particularly, if you're a fan of the book, man, just mention it. I'm speaking to viewers.
Yeah.
So,
Man, it's really trippy now. Like I'll turn up in a chat and they'll say hello, and I'll get guys like Mo Biggs and a couple of others like plugging my book. That's so cool. I'm just that's really awesome. I love that stuff. This is the unexpected stuff that you don't anticipate happening, but it's so cool when it does.
So
okay.
Yeah, the other thing that happened on the stream today that was hilarious is that a guy came on impersonating a Russian. It was talking to Ethan with this like heavy exaggerated Russian accent and said that he hopes he continues to crush his enemies like big Russian tank division. It was so funny, and his icon was a Russian bear wearing a hammer and sickle, like hat or something, and I was dying the whole time.
Oh, that's funny. It sounds like I missed out on something here. What was I doing all day?
Did you catch that, Blue? Did you see that part?
I listen at high speed, and I do remember that part, but I don't remember all the details like you do.
It was absurd. And at one point, he's like, "Yeah, Ethan, you are spicy like a borscht with too much pepper." I was dying.
We got a bit of a disagreement. Not a disagreement, but Shane here says don't spam. Delta Speg says yes, spam, spam, spam. It's it's difficult to know.
I didn't spam the Lucent today in Ethan's chat. I did mention it though. I dropped it a few times in the chat.
Thanks, brother. That's awesome. Does that say something real?
Ruski tank. Igra Oppo? I have no idea what that means. And I'm probably not saying it right either.
Imagine if you just said something really bad now.
Okay.
Alex wouldn't do that to you. Alex is a stand-up guy. I've got some new whiskies to try out. I got these sample bottles, and they're different colors, and apparently they're different kinds of whiskey.
That last word oro is bear. First word's Russian, last word's bear. Anyway, sorry about that. Whiskey.
Yeah, should I go the red, the blue, or the white? Maybe chat can decide for me. I have no idea what the difference is because it's all in French. Oh, here we go. Grain. I don't know what that means. And then I guess that's the good stuff. Maybe, I don't know.
Anthony says red.
Anthony says red. Well, first in, best dressed. All right, I'm going to drink the red, even though it's only 4:22 here. It's not every day that you get to just drink with Comicsgate. So this was a present from my father-in-law. Oh, now I'm going to be embarrassed because I can't open it. It looks like there's some
Hail Red Cardinal.
God.
Ryan Cardinal, excuse me.
Ryan Cardinal. Yes, thank you, brother. I will if I can get into the damn thing. Oh, here we go. It's starting to give. All right. Here we go. Has anyone heard of this? Belvoy. I don't know. French. Are French known for their whiskey? Didn't know they made whiskey. Ooh,
They'd probably tell you it's the best regardless. So
smells good. It smells very there's not much punch to it. Blue Samurai, did you mean to type I dance corrected?
Yes, I did.
Oro is a word denoting a particular folk dance in the I see you were making a little pun there. Could you hear all that?
Are you Ukrainian?
No, I'm not.
No, I was talking about.
Alex is from. Now I'm going to blank on it, but yeah, that area. I've chatted a bit with Alex. Alex is a straight-up guy. Alex is CG, man. All right, guys. Bottoms up. Here we go.
Cheers to Michael.
Oh, it's smoky, but soft. Nice.
Michael, have you eaten today?
Yeah, I had lunch. I'm not an alcoholic. No, yeah, I've eaten. I had a nice lunch, so this is all good.
Alex, I assume you mean Macedonia, as in the Republic, and not northern Greece, which is also called Macedonia.
Blended, yeah, I think it is. Yeah. I don't know. I'm drinking it. I got it for free. It was a gift, so it's getting drunk.
No, you're getting drunk.
Not one sip.
I think Blue is making a reference to Roe who's been on Cecil recently, telling him he needs to stop drinking on an empty stomach. Because Cecil was on a 72-hour fast. He was drinking whiskey.
Mm.
Which
and it was getting intense.
Yeah. Which I don't know if he knows this or not, but that will break your fast if you drink alcohol. But, it's okay.
Well, it's a self-imposed fast, isn't it? I mean, it's not. He's just
trying
doing
to.
it himself.
Yeah, he's trying to lose weight.
He looks like he is. I mean, through the mask, I don't know. It's hard to tell, but looks like he is. We got some people in here now. We should talk about the Lucent a little bit. Although I'm just not feeling in pitch mode right now. But I don't know if you guys have any questions in the chat or you guys on the show. I don't know. I've heard having some really good chats about it on some streams. Went on to How to Draw Comics yesterday.
Yeah.
Oh, my voice is breaking.
I was in there for a few minutes. And I had to bail out.
That guy's great. Clayton is great. Clayton was the first guy to ever have me on, and he invited me. He had me on. I didn't approach him, so I'm just super thankful to him. And he's just super easy to chat to. I really like his show. I really like his channel. Apparently, had John Malin on there today, which is cool.
Hail Perth.
Comics of Callaway is bringing us the Perth is here too. Perth, hail brother, how you going? A female John Wick movie has been announced.
Is it actually under the John Wick title, or is it just like a equivalent or a shoot off or something?
Well, they have a lot of female assassins, in that world. Just I don't know. I like John Wick is cool when it's as crazy as it is. I think it's at its best when it's being a bit more realistic. Like I like the gunfights. I don't like as much when they were doing that. He had a fight with a woman on a bed or something. It wasn't as good because anyone knows if a guy kind of punches a woman or kicks a woman, especially you kick a woman in the chest. I don't care if she's the toughest woman in the world. She's not getting up. That's but it could just be all guns. I don't know if she's like a super cool with guns. I don't know. But does it have to be John Wick?
I think so. I just did a quick search. They're delaying Chapter 4 until 2022 because of conflict with the next Matrix movie, which sounds like a cluster. I guess this is going to be like a filler.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Callaway said it's the ballerina from movie 3. I don't remember her. I mean, obviously the third movie was the last one I saw, but it's probably the least memorable one that I've seen so far. Like everything I'm thinking about is from the first one mostly, and bits of the second one. Anthony does not like that. I don't know if you can tell from his chat, he's not down with it. Delta Spurg wants to know if our comics have a pouch. I haven't come across one, but I don't know if you saw where is it? If you saw this one yesterday, the other day, Delta Spurg. Have you seen this comic? Let me bring it up full. If ever there was a comic that was gonna have a pouch on it, it would be this. Bazza the Bogan Barbarian. An Australian alien invasion. This is a comic that I was talking to a printer and I said, do you have any examples you can send me of something you've done? So they sent me this. That's like the Aussiest comic you could ever Aussie.
That seems peak. There's a kangaroo there.
Oh yeah, no, it's full of it. There's mechs too, and
dingoes.
There's a kangaroo. Is that a jaguar? What is that?
I don't know. You guys have all types of animals down there, don't you?
We do have a jaguar here. Apparently, it's like a mythical jaguar. It's it lives out in the hills, just sort of 100 kilometers away from where I live, and people say it was it was escaped from a zoo or a circus or something, and it's been out in the forest for years and years and years, and no one's been able to track it down. But people apparently see it all the time.
It survives by hunting drop bears.
Yeah, yeah. I don't know. I mean, that's what I hear. I've never seen it, so I just take people's word for it. Delta likes the look of it. He's down for some Baz of the Bogan Barbarian, and why wouldn't you be, really?
Yeah, Delta's ready.
Really ready and willing, but it doesn't have a pouch. So if that one doesn't have a pouch, I'm guessing no Australian comics will have a pouch. The Aussiest comic. Yeah, well, I've got it. I've got it right here. Apparently, it's on Indiegogo. There's like a new version.
I'm looking for it.
Yeah, put the link in the private chat if you can find it, and we can check it out. Like I have no idea. I have absolutely zero connection whatsoever to any Australian comic book, whatever you want to call it, market or industry or groups or whatever. Like absolutely none. Liam talks about it. He says it's dead. There's nothing going on here, but he does make it sound like that people are trying to do something, but I don't know. I don't see it anywhere. I have no knowledge of any Australian industry at all. So if there's
it's weird because Zach always talks about how his backers, the third largest is from Australia. That could be a distant third. It could be like, it could be, I don't know, 5%. And the other two are,
well, yeah. I think my second largest, yeah, second or third largest is from Australia as well, and it is distant compared to the States. Everything's distant. It's like 75% are from the States, so that's how big of a chunk it is. But I don't know. We punch above our weight down here. We do love comic books. Rob always says that there were no comic books where he grew up, but I think I get the feeling that I know for a fact that now he lives out more in a country area. And if he's been living out there his whole life, then yeah, I understand. But where I was, where we could get every American comic book just at the local news agency, where you get all your magazines and whatever, your newspapers. That was my whole childhood, and that stopped, at the same time, I think, as it stopped in the States. But comic book stores, there were plenty of comic book stores when I was growing up, and I'd go and visit them all. When I was a kid, I'd get on the train and go out to them and see what I could get. But in terms of an industry, I do remember I do have 3 or 4 books of an independent Australian creators from back in the early 90s called Bug and Stump. But other than that, I guess I think this is what Liam's major gripe is, that anyone who would kind of get any prominence in comics in Australia would go to America. And I think that seems to be just the case for anyone in any entertainment. If you make it big, you go to America. Like that, all the actors, all the Australian actors, and there's so many. Like, talk about punching above our weight. Going all the way back to Errol Flynn. Australian actors we are definitely overrepresented in movies.
David's here.
Hang on.
We were just talking about him. He must have heard us.
One sec. David, I heard you plugged me on Ethan's show instead of yourself. Is that true? Did that actually happen? And yeah, if I can get confirmation from that, then I owe you big. And yeah, you should definitely kind of come on the show or whatever.
David, you did great. Everyone was making fun of me. Everyone was a big fan of you.
Thank you, David. Thank you, man. That's amazing. You didn't have to do that. And I get what you, man. I went on Cecil's show, and Cecil's show isn't Ethan's show. I mean, Cecil's show is pretty big. He's got like 11,000 subscribers now. I think there's about 600 people watching. And I could just call in because I was at work at the time, so I couldn't get on didn't have all the video and everything. And yeah, I was sitting there sweating bullets beforehand. I don't know why. They're just normal guys who gotten attention. But yeah, I get you, man. I feel like if ever I got into Ethan's show, I would just. Do you remember that scene from Bruce Almighty where he's making the dude just say all this weird stuff? He's like, I would be worried I would just start doing that.
Well, David, if it makes you any less nervous, I saw the chat when you came on, and you should go back and look at the chat there. I believe some of the ladies were referring to you as the handsome version of Nasser.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah.
Do you have a significant other there, David? Because maybe you can find one in Comicsgate. Here it is. Bazza, the Bat, and the Drop Bears.
The Drop Bears.
Apparently, this is like their 4th book in the series.
Wow, maybe I've got a collector's edition. That's
David
him.
says he's married and has 2 kids.
Oh well, I won't be encouraging any of that nonsense. Then stay with your wife and 2 kids. That's all that matters. I was on EVS's stream yesterday too, says House of R. First time. I can't go back watching. I was nervous as fuck. Yeah. Oh, absolutely, man. Yeah, I have not listened to anything that I've kind of gone on to and talked. Even the ones where I felt like I've done well. Yeah, I'm right there with you, brother. Well, I think he's clarified that. Perth says, was that me? He's saying I presented well on Cecil's. If that's so, thank you, man. Yeah, I was nervous. I hope that I'm glad that I didn't have the video on me because that might have just been an extra layer. All right, so Sorab Del Rio, that's an interesting name. Australia's wildest comic from Sydney Silver Fox Comics. Welcome to Silver Fox's Comics crowdfunding campaign for Bazza, the Bradman Bat, and the Drop Bears in Corona Apocalypse. So yeah, this is really recent, huh? This has just gone up. He's going well. It seems like he's got like 70 backers, but look, a lot of this digital copies, the print copies only $6. I guess he's probably selling mostly to Australians.
Mm-hmm. The higher tiers are the physical ones.
Yeah, all right. Bazza starter pack. You got to say it like this, Bazza. The Bazza double trouble. The triple terror. Look at those koalas. They're like Wolverine koalas.
I like the glowing eyes.
Yeah, so he's selling, I guess that's all the books. Look, he's got my book in there too.
Mm-hmm.
And all the for $71. That's a pretty good deal.
But it ships only to Australia.
It only ships to Australia, does it? Yeah. Well, there you go. There you go. I don't know why do that. Why only ship to Australia? Come on,
it
tell us.
It does seem to be very focused. I'm not sure.
I know, but people. There's people out there in the world who want to know about Drop Bears and what kind of mayhem that they have in store, and this looks like the place to go and to figure it out. So who was saying the other day? Rob Arnold was saying the other day that campaigns that are what's it called? That aren't CG, but they're on Indiegogo. They don't perform as well as if they had just gone onto Kickstarter. That's his impression of the whole situation.
That's definitely true.
Because they don't get the CG attention.
Yeah, I brought up the example of this one here. I don't know if you can see it. Let me bring myself
up. Lucent. Yes, we like that book.
Good. Now I was talking about Jack Irons. So these guys aren't CG, but they kind of run in similar circles. You know, I wouldn't say. I guess they're apolitical and they don't want to be aligned with any group or anything. But they struggled. Cody struggled for a long time to get funded, and he was on Indiegogo. I think he's like, I don't know if it's an anti-Kickstarter thing, but he seems to be the kind of guy here who would be, au fait with all of the stuff that goes on Kickstarter. All of the political what do you call it? Gatekeeping. Yeah.
Shane says he just backed the Maximum Mayhem tier for the Baza book.
Ah, good one, Shane. Well done.
How many do they have left? I'm going to contact the company and see if they can ship to the States.
Yeah. I don't know. Come on, guys. Like, there's people in America who want this stuff.
Now, Shane, don't forget about your boy Michael.
Yeah. Have you backed the Lucent? Have you considered it? House of R says you're a natural, Mike. Oh, thank you. I hope that's directed at me. I don't feel like it, but I'll take it. I'll definitely take it. There's so many. Okay, thanks for all these comments, guys. I feel like we've got some more people in here now. I have to interact more with the chat, which is exactly what I want to do.
I'm keeping them entertained as much as I can.
They heard Indiegogo is hot, so they go there, but they don't perform as well as the. I guess that's CG book. G is right next to H. Yeah. I mean, that's exactly the thing. Like, I would have to be a real fan of the person to go and back something now if they only put it on Kickstarter. But just say, for example, She from Billy Tucci, he put it on both. Obviously, I'm going to back it on Indiegogo rather than Kickstarter. Yeah, it's Indiegogo is Comicsgate territory, isn't it? We kind of
we planted our flag.
Absolutely, like if you want to play with the big boys here, you're probably going to have to be CG.
Yeah, that's why I disagree with Mr. Biggins today on the stream. I mean, I didn't get a chance to tell him this because I thought the other thing about the other disagreements going on right now was more important to address, but I addressed it in the chat. But at one point, Biggins said that, the labels don't matter, like Comicsgate or not. And I was like, no, that's the farthest from the truth.
Biggins said that?
Yeah, because they were talking about Zach and how Zach is kind of aloof from that. He doesn't talk about it too much anymore. He just sells his books. And I'm of the opposite opinion, I'm with Rob on this. If you are Comicsgate, then you have a certain number of eyes on you by default.
Yeah. That surprises me that he would say that because he was the one, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, but he was the one when who's that guy? Well-Read User 1 came onto Cecil's stream and said that Comicsgate wasn't the fans. He said it's a brand or something. And yeah, Biggins was, I believe this was Biggins. Someone correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was Biggins that jumped up and said, well, man, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about then, because Comicsgate is the fans. He gave a very passionate defense of Comicsgate, what it is and what it means and how important it is. So I don't know. People get on streams. They may say something and mean something else. But yeah, Zach definitely has that thing where he doesn't wear it like a flag or like a badge, like say someone like a lot of the rest of us do, pretty much. So maybe that's what he's talking about.
Yeah, that's one of the things I admire about Dan so much is as soon as he made the decision, he was unapologetic about it. He was absolutely 110% in, made a video on YouTube and on Twitter and addressed it. Like, hey, I'm Comicsgate now,
Yeah. There's not like literally ever since Dan came on board. I mean, he hasn't stepped a foot wrong in my eyes. He's just he's flying the flag high and proud. And I'm of the opinion like I don't even remember now why any of this shit is controversial. It's just as far as I can see, it's just been kind of as soon as let's say we, because I wasn't really involved, but as soon as the most rabid SJW types were kind of swatted back to their dingy holes, it's just been nothing but winning from us and just positivity. And every time I go onto, not every time, but most times I go into a CG stream, it's just that. It's just people are excited and enthused, pumped up, and just get all that positive energy from it. Whenever someone brings up, Comicsgate is a hate movement, or it does this, or it's this and that, I'm not in a world where I can even see that anymore. Alex brings up a point.
Yeah.
Zach would sell a shit ton more books if he went on Twitter and just promote his shit a bit more and talk with his fans a bit more rather than just YouTube. Crossover between platforms isn't big. Alex, I'm on you with the whiskey is kicking in. I'm with you 100%. I always said from day one that was a massive mistake that he got off Twitter. He didn't have to leave. He could have literally just stopped engaging with everyone on it and just used it as a promotional thing. It's happened so many times with so many big names, and I'm talking like way bigger than comic books. You know, the whole massive culture war thing. You leave Twitter, you really do kind of leave the public discussion, and it's just I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I thought that was a massive mistake, and I know he has his reasons, and he was distracted, and it ate on him mentally. I can't even really picture the kind of shit that that Zach and EVS go through on Twitter. What their mentions must look like on a day-to-day basis when Zach had it. But yeah, man, I think he would be pulling in numbers equivalent to or as high or even bigger, maybe. I don't know. He'd be bringing big numbers if he was still on Twitter, and most importantly, though, still live streaming.
Yeah,
if
the
he
live
was
streaming
out there every day and had those two things going at the same time, man, we wouldn't be talking about $50,000 in a day. We'd be talking a couple of $100,000. I mean, that's what Cecil is the proof of that. You're not going to people love Cecil, but I mean, people love Zach in a way that it kind of transcends things. And the fact that Cecil can put out his first book and come pretty close to 100,000 really quickly. Just this system of getting your face up there every day and sort of getting the people to know you. I mean, it sells books and it keeps you in people's forefront, doesn't it?
Yeah, and I think as his, he was the big splash 2 years ago. Jawbreakers was about making a statement as much as it was a good book, and he's improved since then, definitely. But I think as 2017 begins to fade, when Zach was really spicy on YouTube and doing the live streams, I think he'll start to see diminishing returns, unfortunately. So I want nothing but the best for him, but I really do think he needs to open some of those channels back up, because I think one of the things that endures people to EVS, for instance, is that he doesn't feel out of reach.
Yeah, it may be hard to get in touch with him, because of the sheer number of people trying to contact him. But you could shoot an email to Zach. I don't know, who knows how many emails he gets every day. But there was that moment in time. I don't know if this is how you guys think about it, but this is how I view it. The movement portion of Comicsgate, the movement part of it, that big explosion that happened back in the day, and we were all focused on moving the needle. We were all out there buying the books that we liked, whether it be Punisher or Spider-Man or
Silencer.
Silencer. Yeah,
yep.
All of those. We were buying them in the hopes that we could change the industry. And that was the movement side of it. And, we just eventually came to the conclusion that we were banging our heads against a brick wall and they weren't going to change. So most of us, not all of us, moved on. And we went on with this new thing that we're doing now, which is we're making our own books. And, that's great. But what's necessary for that is the live streaming and the Twitter. And Zach stuck with reviewing new comics, mainstream comics, independent comics, whatever, non-CG comics. He stuck with his initial plan of doing those things. And I wonder how many people who are like me have stopped, not entirely, but really to a huge degree of what I used to watch his videos. The only video, I don't watch his review videos anymore at all. I'll watch his videos where he's, saying SJWs try and do this in the industry or whatever. The ones where he's talking about a tweet or something or an event. But I don't watch his review videos at all anymore. I just have no interest in those comic books anymore. So why would I watch? And we all know they're full of SJW stuff. We don't need to hark on year after year about how they're rubbish. They're never going to change. Let's hark on about how awesome Dan Frager's new book is, or whatever, or the Lucent is. I think I used to love his live streams too. They were so personable. You really felt like you were like there with him. He's like scrolling down. Everyone, he was reading the chat all the time. I don't know.
Some more.
He's got his own ideas. He does things his own way, and I guess
Zach's pretty raw.
Change.
Well, it's a bit like weight loss. I remember one trainer saying everything works until it doesn't, and so you get people telling you this worked to lose weight, and then but it stopped for them 2 weeks later. I think Zach may not realize that his current way of doing things isn't going to work forever, and he does need to re-expand a little bit in order to get a broader audience. Some of his audience will come and go. All the natural things just haven't really caught up to him yet, and he's doing what he thinks works for him right now. Okay, fine. Next campaign, it might not. And he really should get a little more out there.
Yeah, Ethan and the guys spent like half an hour, 40 minutes on his promotional video for Jawbreakers, in a tongue-in-cheek way, but there was some truth to that. Zach is still kind of doing it the way that he's always done it, and obviously it's been successful for him. But a lot of us, like you guys as well, I feel like we're all on the same page here, that we're worried about diminishing returns for him because he's not taking on board the lessons that people have learned, about like putting out a good promotional video, like a short thing, like Ethan was trying to tell him, like 30 seconds, a minute, whatever. Maybe eventually that enthusiasm and that passion and that love we all had back in 2017, it does wane, and we all know that you can't just sell comic books purely on the back of how good they are. And as good as Zach's books do look, and they look amazing, he's getting some of the best guys in the industry on them. The promotion side of it is more. It's bigger. That'll contribute to how much success you have. David says he has to say he dislikes the Twitter videos. Yeah. I like them. I enjoy them. But everyone has their own things that they like and dislike. So I get the feeling that Ethan would love to have Zach on more often.
I think all the time he would have him if he could.
They have such great back and forth. They just Zach. They have this thing where he interrupts, and Zach kind of plays himself off as just this fuddy-duddy guy who doesn't really. But no, he's sharp. He's sharp as a tack, and he we can hear you having a little chitty chat there, Blue Samurai. Sorry.
I forgot to.
It's all right, man. Like I said to you the other day, man, it adds to the charm. Yeah, no, Zach.
Just kidding.
Zach. Zach and Ethan, they play off as well as Ethan and Cecil do. So, yeah, I think he should definitely get on more often, because it's got to help him so much with moving the books. And yeah, Zach Video's are tamer. Yeah, and that's just the nature of becoming more popular. The pressure, I can't imagine what it must be like when you get up to those numbers where any single thing that you say, even slightly offensive can really, it can kind of spread across the internet like wildfire. The thing about with Zacko, although, is like he's his own man. Like he doesn't have to give a shit anymore about what anyone says about him. But I've noticed that same thing happening with a whole bunch of people. We were talking on stream the other day that, we've been watching guys like Sargon since they had a couple of thousand subscribers.
Oh my gosh. Yep.
And Sargon back in the day was a firebrand. I mean, this guy was swearing, and he was like rabid. He was foaming at the mouth because he was angry. He was angry, and no one else was talking about it. And, now he's kind of playing the straight man. He's the nice guy of YouTube. So, yeah, you definitely do... that just happens as they get more popular, I think.
Yeah. Hopefully, to that point, Michael, hopefully no one has so much success that they forget, how they got there and where we all came from together,
Yeah, it's that's the kind of, I mean, that happens in everything, doesn't it? And it's just person to person, and you can look at movie stars and see the differences. Like, I don't know if any of you guys are familiar with anecdotes of what's his face, Bill Murray, or Anthony Hopkins, or another guy is Aussie guy, Hugh Jackman, the other Aussie guy Russell Crowe. All these guys are just super normal and love interacting with fans, and are just, so you just get the sense from them that they're so grateful to be where they are and to have the experience and the lives that they have. And then there's just other people who are the complete opposite of that, who have let it get to their heads and think that they're just these gods walking around on Earth. And then you can kind of understand it, considering how big they are. Everywhere you walk on this planet, doesn't matter where you go, you instantly become the center of attention. It must play on people's heads. And some of these big YouTubers get similar treatments anytime they come onto YouTube. Everyone's like just kind of swarming on them. Just going through some of these chats here. Yeah. I had to drop my pull list as well. And that was just because I wanted to buy more CG books. And then on top of everything, I got a final straw with Marvel. I was never really a DC guy, but I really love that artist Joelle. Is it Joelle Jones, something like that? I think she's really amazing. And so I was just buying her books just because of the art. Like, I wasn't even reading.
Catwoman books.
I just like looking at the art because I think she's a phenomena. And but I just then DC was kind of, no, I just had to cut it all off and all my money now is going to CG, because at that point as well, there was too much to buy. There was a point in CG where I've bought everything CG. Remember that? I've gotten everything CG now. I'm set. It's all done. No one's going to feel that anymore ever again, I don't think, unless you're really independently wealthy. You're not going to be able to buy up all the CG books.
No, other than the current shutdown, I'm not fully out of DC yet, and I've ended up actually adopting the Brian Michael Bendis mentality, where a fan came to him and said, "Why do you always change the characters in ways that don't make sense, in ways that violate the character, and things like that?" And because we love these characters, and Bendis's answer was, "I don't follow characters, I follow creators," which, one, isn't an answer, and two, shows his arrogance to have zero respect for history, just like most people of his mentality do. Well, I thought, well, all right, you've destroyed Superman. I really enjoyed the prior run on it that went to issue 45 by what was his name, Tomasi and not Jurgens. Jurgens was on Action, but Tomasi and Gleason. I guess if I'm going to not follow characters but follow creators, then I'm done with Superman. And I didn't like what he did in Man of Steel, and moving on from that. And now I find myself following Robert Venditti, of all people, the guy who's doing Hawkman right now. And he put out a really cool book called 6 Days. It was hardcover. That was pretty good. I respect Venditti's writing, and I'm not saying that Bendis's way is the way to go. I'm saying I ended up going that way because they destroyed so much of what was there.
Yeah, that mentality just says it all, doesn't it? Like the creator rather than the creation thing. I mean, it's just, that's what we're talking about, the arrogance. These guys think they're movie stars, and they're just not, and they never were. Even back in the day when they were stars, they couldn't. It had to be the work that sold them. Jim Lee was a star because of the work. Todd McFarlane was a star because of the work, and not because of some previous thing that they'd done. It was what they were putting out then. Akikama's here. I hope you're talking about me, man. If that you are, thank you. Thanks for watching. Yeah, I've seen you around. So thanks for coming and checking us out. I just got to put on a light. One sec.
Hail the chat.
Comics with Kellaway, I agree with you. Destroys everything he touches.
Yeah, the
I'm
Silencer book, the Silencer run by Abnett will probably be the last DC books I get.
Yeah, I've heard nothing but really good stuff about them. But they didn't get they just didn't get much attention, did they?
No, it was a move the needle book. Zach was peddling it pretty hard. There was like one issue in the middle that was kind of a letdown, and then they had Patrick Zurcher on it for 2 issues, which was disappointing. But then they got Ramita Jr. back, I think, in the later issues. It's been a while, but it's well worth the read. And if you want a female John Wick that's not John Wick, that's the story to read. It's really good.
Yeah, I got a couple, but that was a while ago now, so I don't really remember it too well. But yeah, that's just the thing, isn't it? Like, the good stories, they're not getting promoted, they're not getting spread around. They're just those guys those old companies. They're just stuck in their ways, and the world has changed so drastically around them. That's why they're in the position that they're in right now.
So, there it is.
Only graphic novels from DC, almost 300 a month at Marvel. Wow. Stopped 2013 because I didn't enjoy the stories anymore. CG won me back in 17. Now comics are joy again. Yes, that's what I want to hear, brother. House of Art, man. That is everything, isn't it? I stopped a lot earlier than you. I stopped in the mid 90s, and I was only buying back issues. I was only buying the odd, maybe Star Wars trade paperback that I would find at a news agency or something. And yeah, I was well and truly out. Even though I was making a comic myself, I was out. And Zach kind of brought me back to it. And I started thinking like, oh, it's like, because once you're out, it's hard to get back in. You don't know what's kind of really going on. And then you're right. Yeah, you're right. When you stop enjoying the stories, it's really hard to justify spending all that money on them.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many other things out there that entertain you.
Yeah, totally. Comics of Callaway agrees with you. The Silencer was great.
Yeah, and it was cut short too. Abnett did a great job wrapping it up early. So, like I said, I read a lot of his Warhammer novels back in the day, and I've always really liked his writing.
He's really hit and miss with me, and I mix him up with. Okay, Lemire bores me. Abnett sometimes bores me, but then I read other books. I'm like, who wrote this? This is great, and it's Abnett. It doesn't bore me at all. So I get surprised sometimes. You think you don't like an author, and then suddenly there's a good one.
Maybe it's just the topic. They're good with a certain niche.
Yeah, and he does such volume too across a lot of different companies. So I think sometimes maybe it just becomes robotic for him.
I never got into Green Lantern, David. I was just never much of a DC guy. It just wasn't my thing at all. So I've heard good things, but don't even really know too much about the characters. So when people talk Green Lantern, I just kind of sit there and pretend like they're talking about anime, because that's another thing. Anime and manga, I'm a complete anime and manga noob. Chaotic Neutral is here. Hail, brother. How you going? You've officially found weed and successfully smoked till sufficiently stoned. Nice. Good to hear.
I feel like the more I get involved in this community, I feel like I'm the only person that does not smoke.
No, I don't smoke either, but I like when you play poker, especially if you go to the home games, it's just nonstop. They're lighting up all the time, and you have to you get infused with it as well. So you got to try and maintain your composure while all that's going on. But yeah, I never partook either. But I've been around that culture, so I know what it means to those guys. So great to have you here. Great to see that you're watching, man. I don't know if you guys know Chaotic Neutral. If you're just watching the stream, this guy's got a really awesome book. Put the name in there, man, so that I read it out, because I'll get it wrong otherwise. And yeah, you can sign it to his pre-launch page. It looks, from the moment I saw it, I'm like, I put it on my Comicsgate corner thing. It looked really cool. Yeah, and you'll see him around as well.
Shane Burgess had a comment. Did we poke on that one. Bendis was great on powers, but that's all I've liked of his.
Okay, here we go. Yeah. I don't know. Do you want to talk on that, Samurai?
Well, yeah, I've had an idea for a while, and it has a lot to do with how people are raised or where they find their early success and attention and whatnot, the training they get. Now, way back when Powers first came out, it was described to me as the daily doldrums of superheroes, and it was interesting because it was so different, and I decided, no, I don't feel like reading that. Now that might not be accurate because that's what was told to me. I didn't read it, but that was one of his first really big successes, along with Ultimate Spider-Man. And the Ultimate Marvel Universe, if people have never heard of it, which I doubt, was where they could. It's ultimate, not alternate, but they could change all the characters all they wanted and mess with the stories. It was an alternate universe. And so Bendis got a lot of success and accolades there. So we have two areas where he got a lot of accolades. One was keep the costume, maybe, keep most of the powers, tweak if you want, but pour whatever personality you want into the costume. It doesn't have to be Peter Parker anymore. That's one success. The other success is the downtrodden, dreary side of being a superhero, if you would. I don't think Powers was that bad, but from I don't think it was that dark, but it's this a bit of a deconstruction, not full postmodernism, but he's pretty postmodernist anyway. If you look at the two of those things, that's now what he does with every title. His early success is now just what he does on every title instead of respecting the characters. So I wonder if we could see that with a lot of people, like what's his name, the guy from Image who's really arrogant, but everybody loves him anyway. Liefeld. Yeah, Liefeld. He went through some hard times with his family because he ended up having to support his family. I think there's some really bad situations in there. I'm not sure, but he was supporting his family around age 17 or something like that. Please take this with a grain of salt. So it's a lot of responsibility lumped on a young guy with very sudden fame following afterwards. And they say you don't take, in church, you don't take a newbie and make him like an elder or something like that. And I think it really ruined Liefeld in a way that the attitude is what we see now. He treats people like crap, and we give him a pass. But why? I don't think we should give him a pass. So the idea being that early success and conditioning really dictates what comes later. I think that's sort of what we've seen with Bendis. Is he got success at a couple of things that should not be the norms in writing, and now here we are.
Yeah, you see that a lot in anything. It's not just comic books. You see that in screenwriting. You see that in sports. You see that in all kinds of things. People kind of have that early success too quickly without kind of scrapping through and working hard and getting put down for a long period of time. So they don't treasure what they've got once they get it. They don't value it, because if something gets handed to you straight away, you're not going to value it. If you have to work 10 years for it, 20 years for it, you're really going to hold on to it and treasure it and not try and ruin it and play around with it too much once you've got it.
And I've heard, Bendis has some other independent stuff that apparently was fine, but those two conditions on his success, the alternate universe, where you violate the character completely, and whatever else he was doing in Powers, that really seems to have that's what he gravitates back towards. And goodbye Superman.
So Chaotic Neutral's comic is called Akuri. I'm one whiskey in now, so it's not going to be correct. Don't worry about it. Akuri Inu, the Oni Within. And
links in the chat for anyone.
Collins put the links in the chat. House of R says he likes the French and Belgian comics, Lucky Luke, Asterix, Spirou, and so on. Man, I grew up on those, so yeah, I'm right there with you. And I don't know if you know, but the Lucent, in terms of its being a graphic novel and all that sort of stuff, that's inspired by the European comics. So that's inspired by these. I'll give the Vinny T knock. It's inspired by these hardcover graphic novels here, man. So yeah, I've got plenty of these here, and that's kind of why I'm doing what I'm doing right now. And I had initially laid this book out as oversized hardcover, and I had to kind of temper my ambitions when I realized how much those things cost to not only to make, but how much they cost to ship. being in Australia, to ship something like that to the States would be prohibitive, to say the least. So yeah, I love that stuff. I'm right there with you, and I read that stuff to my daughter as well. She's into it as well. She doesn't like superhero stuff, but she likes reading the funnies. The funny comics. We read them in French because my wife is French, and my kids speak French. They're bilingual, and she helps me to read French with these funny books, and they're really fun.
Hail Perth, we'll see you.
Perth is out of here. Thanks for being here, brother.
See you, Perth.
House of R, if you're into those types of comics, also give Red Eyes a look.
Chaotic Neutrals talking about how he wish he stayed into comics, skating and playing music. Yeah, I was a skater that's exactly right. I went from comic books to skating, and I was in there for a long time. And got out of the comics. I always kept up the art, though, thankfully. I kept my hand fresh. And so then when the comic books came around, I was ready to rock and roll. All right. What else we got in here? What are the comments? Come on, guys. Give me some stuff to talk about. Apparently, Liefeld did something shit to Frager in the 90s. Yeah, he's got some Liefeld stories. Frager has a million stories, and they're all entertaining. The shit he's been up to and been through over the years. It sounds he's had a life well lived, by the sounds of it.
Yeah, he casually mentions how he bumped into NSYNC at one point. I think it's just so funny.
He knows Justin Timberlake, doesn't he?
Something like that.
Yeah. I think he's just one of those people who's been in the entertainment industry. So to him, it's to me especially, because I'm all the way down here in Melbourne, where not much of that goes on at all. But to him, it's just normal. That's just life. You live in LA or wherever he was living, and you're in that entertainment industry. It's just bump into people all the time, and you know them. What do you guys think about the Dynamite CG controversy? I don't know. EVS kind of went through it pretty thoroughly on his stream, didn't he? I would hate for people to come for me for an opinion, because I am just. It's so hard to get me to care about anything.
Michael, do you want me to give my opinion? Since you,
yeah.
I'll save you. I'll save you.
Go for it, man, because I'm just like, man, I'm just so focused on what I'm doing right now. Like, right. I just really couldn't. Hit us, Poland.
I was going to say that all the hot takes and spicy topics going on right now on Comicsgate, I think this one may be one of the least controversial, because it seems clear to me that Ethan has a relationship with them and is using them because they're willing to work with them. And if they're willing to plant their flag with Ethan, I think that's cool. But it seems obvious to me that Ethan wants to maintain his autonomy because he wants to continue to be his own boss. But if it will further his own goals and further something that Dynamite wants to do, I don't think it's a huge deal. If they can help him with some of these more logistical, practical aspects of running his business. Mm-hmm. So I think really both parties win in that case. And like I said, if they're sympathetic to Comicsgate, I think that's a win for us,
Well, isn't he just licensing out the character by giving them a cover, licensing them to print it, and it's their campaign?
He mentioned that they are Comicsgate. And then he went into that more.
Yeah, but I think he does have plans for the future, for potential kind of crossover actual books, not just covers. Callaway, the controversy is that essentially Ethan working so closely with Dynamite. Obviously, he's working with them. They both have a mutual business relationship. From Ethan's point of view, it's just money. Dynamite is not going to give in to the SJWs. They're not going to bend according to Ethan, if say he puts a Cyberfrog on a Vampirella cover. And people are saying, well, you know, is CG headed towards being mainstream? And I guess what I have to say about that is, like, what's your definition of mainstream? To me, mainstream is purely as a definition is just whatever's popular at the time. That's mainstream. That's what it means in a definitional sense. But people have the idea of, if you want to do this lame thing, the quotes, the mainstream, as an actual entity, you know, that exists right now. The mainstream, when we talk about it right now, is this hive of SJW infest corporate pap, right? So we don't want to be involved with that. We don't want to be part of that thing, whatever that is. But if you make something popular by yourself over here, even if it starts out as independent, and it becomes popular, well, then does that become mainstream? People are worried, I guess, I'm assuming, that we would sort of blend, that CG would merge with the existing sort of SJW-infested comics, whatever it is. And you know, we would then be watered down. We would no longer be CG because we're not independent. But I don't think anyone seriously has put that up as a thing that we should be going for. I think we're just saying, if CG becomes popular, if CG grabs a huge number of the of the comic buying market, and you know that is what it is, then definitionally, CG will be mainstream in that it's kind of one of the most popular things and most highest money making things that's going around at the time.
Right.
So it could even just be a semantic thing that's happening here. That's why it's like that's why Poland said it's probably, of all the quote unquote controversies that's happening right now, if it is just a semantic controversy, then it really is not of great importance.
Right, because if we're all in this for the culture war, you know, which I think a lot of us are, you know, the movement aspect of it, if we end up supplanting the mainstream, like if Ethan ends up making his own imprint one day because he's that successful, and then that's what you see on the shelves, I think that's a win, because now the entertainment being put out there is by someone that is focused on story instead of agenda. You know, he could probably still run his own stuff on Indiegogo if you want the most premium products, but then you could have the wide distribution stuff that he could be putting out in retail stores. And that's a possible future. And I don't think that's necessarily bad. But going back to the thing we were talking about with Mitch earlier, as long as you're forthright about it, you know, what's going on, I think people will be okay.
Okay, so Shane is saying it's not what we're talking about. It's more about the abuse given for the cover. Having said that, I wasn't impressed. Malin and Cecil going ongoing action. Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, I don't know. I don't stay 100% up to date on all the controversies that are swirling around this. But yeah, I don't know. I just think whatever, more eyeballs on whatever we're doing, as long as we stay kind of true to what we're trying to do, which is, from my point of view, just put out great books, give the fans what they want, treat the fans with respect, you know, all that stuff that's CG to the core. As long as we keep doing that, we'll always be CG, no matter how popular we are.
Kind of stemming from this touches on something that came up earlier with when you were pointing out Iron Jacks. I've got the first two Iron Jacks books, and like a lot of my crowdfund long box, I haven't read them yet, but that he's in a bit of a spot. I know I picked up somewhere that the guy doing Iron Jacks, what's his name? I follow him on Twitter. What is his name? Anyway, he was pinched for, are you CG or aren't you? Not exactly a purity test, but just a question. And I was told, like, fourth hand, he dodged the question a couple of times. You know what? I sympathize for the guy. I'm very much, if I were to make a book, very much CG myself. But well, not but. People have been friends with each other, and then a split happens. And you know, Mike betrayed Ethan in a very hurtful way. I think Ethan really suffered for that, you know, internally, personally. And here you have a whole bunch of other people who were friendly with Mike, and then you have people who are friends with those people, and so you're three people away from either side of it. and you know people who are closer than you are on either side, and maybe that's where the Siren Jacks guy stands, and yet then it's, are you CG or aren't you? And so some people just don't want to answer because they don't want, they just don't need all the trouble of all the noise going on, when really they espouse all the same values of customer service, wanting to put out a good product, not turning it into propaganda, but keeping it as story, things like that. So that's a bit of my take on this.
Yeah, I you just have to have an approach to all this that you just have to understand that this thing that is Comicsgate now, whatever it is, whatever you understand it to be now, it does involve just a lot of people, and exactly like you said, there's been many rifts that have happened in the past, and there's going to be more rifts that happen in the future. That is just the nature of the beast. So my personal approach that is, I'm not going to engage in any guilt by association whatsoever. I will just have to. I'm trying to be friendly with everyone. So like, I'll be friendly with you, even though you hate him, and she hates him, and he hates her, and as long as you've done nothing against me, I'll just kind of continue to, at least, even if I don't like you or like what you did to that person, I'll at least treat you respectfully, and we just have to kind of walk that line, because that's the situation that we find ourselves in. But I definitely see how the people who are really, really involved in all this stuff at a real personal level, and they're public level too, all this personal beef has gone out in a very public way, that it's very, very difficult for them to walk to do what I'm trying to do, which is just sort of trying to stay above it all. Yeah, and it just is what it is. It's what Comicsgate is, and I don't think it's going to change, because people are people, and they're going to disagree and fall out with each other.
And if you two disagree, that's fine.
So guys, I just refreshed some of the links in the chat. If you want to check out any of these books we've been talking about, Lucent's in there, Red Eyes, and the mailing list for Okuri Uno, the Uni Within.
Yeah, man, that book looks fantastic. I can't wait to see more of what you got, Chaotic. So get it out there as soon as possible, because I want to share it and I want to talk about it, because it just, I don't know, somehow you've just captured exactly kind of something that really caught me in. With the stuff that you put out so far. So I want to hear more about the story and everything. Delta Spurgforce says there seems to be a mainstream CG now within CG, and I'm turning away from that to smaller channels. I don't think that was done on purpose. I think, if let's just go back to the definition, mainstream, just what's most popular. I think just some guys have just become really popular, and I think that's just the natural course that the things have taken. And as far as I can see, for the most part, not all the time, but those guys who are really big, we all look up to them, and they're an inspiration for all of us. They're handling the situation that they have all of a sudden found themselves in as best as they can. Not always, they have stumbled and slipped and acted really poorly from time to time. But we're all human, and I kind of agree with you though. I kind of prefer. I still love watching Ethan streams. They're really entertaining, but yeah, I love watching the smaller channels too.
Yeah.
I actually like watching them more, because you get to talk to them. I love coming onto a stream and you can type in the chat and then someone will, talk to you, and the chat's not going by at 100 miles an hour. It's an unfortunate thing, if you're really good, if you get really popular, then that kind of goes away. It is what it is. We can't change that. But yeah, I'm totally on board. I love these smaller channels.
Yeah, Delta's sentiment is one I've picked up on a lot in the last couple of weeks. Is that there seems to be a definite line between the so-called high table of creators and then everyone else.
We call them the big guys, don't we? That's the word we use. The big guys in Comicsgate, and the little guys, and it's interesting.
You can fit only so many obese men in a jacuzzi.
That's true.
Yeah, when we're talking big guys, we're talking figuratively and literally.
Right.
And it was very interesting. obviously Poland, you were there. I don't know, Samurai, if you in Liam's chat, Liam Gray.
I have been.
Yeah. So he's been, just part of promoting his book. He's been doing kind of daily streams for a long time now, like a couple of months at least. So yeah, I was always in there, and he would get like this 17 people in there on a good day, 30 people.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it was very intimate and very it had this feel to it. We were just talking whatever was coming onto our heads, and we all kind of knew each other. And then he blew up, and now he's sort of becoming one of the big guys in Comicsgate. Right. So it's interesting to see that all play out, and it has happened very organically. It's
what I like so much about Liam and also War Campaign is that they will platform the unknowns in Comicsgate, including just random people from the chat. They'll give you a platform to talk and speak your mind. And I really admire both those guys for doing that, War Campaign and now Liam's channel.
Yeah, absolutely. He's been great to me too. He's always sort of brought me on, like in a surprise way when no one else was paying attention to me. He saw me and saw what I was doing. I mean, maybe it's because I'm an Aussie. That kind of caught his eye. So yeah, he's been great to me, and I think that's so important too. Like that is what Comicsgate is. Comicsgate, even if it somehow took over the mainstream industry as we know it, it started off as the David versus Goliath, and that will always be at the heart of what we're doing. So absolutely. When I did my Comicsgate corner the other day, just some guy on Twitter just approached me and said, "Do you mind promoting my book on your Comicsgate corner?" And I checked it out, and the art looked amazing. I'd never heard. I think I was following him, but I never. You can follow someone, but you don't really see them in your Twitter feed too much. So you don't really know them. And he has a campaign that's live, and it's got no eyeballs on it whatsoever. So, absolutely, I'm happy to put this guy in there right next to Dan Frager and your boy Zach. That's what CG is supposed to be.
Which one was that?
It's called The Last Crusaders, I believe. There's The Last Crusaders. I might be saying it wrong now. It's got Crusaders in it.
Are you talking about just some guy, the YouTuber? I didn't know he had a book.
No.
Oh, okay.
No. This guy's got like 200 followers on.
I gotcha.
He's made like he has a $5,000 goal, and he's made a couple of $100. So I said to him, I don't know how realistic it is that you're going to make your goal. He's obviously got a good looking book, good looking product, but he just doesn't have anyone talking about him or knowing who he is. So you got to get out there and you got to do all that stuff.
Oh, here it is, The Ultimate Crusaders by Justin.
The Ultimate Crusaders. There you go.
Yeah,
he's at 9%.
Yeah.
The definite rift between Malin, Cecil, and War Campaign, which War Campaign represents a lot of really hardcore Comicsgate people that buy almost all the books. It's been painful to watch.
Absolutely, yeah. That stuff and always it's just when you wake up and you see that, and you just kind of you get the feeling like you're walking into the middle of a domestic like argument, like a fight. You're at the park and you see a couple like beefing on, and maybe you caught it. Like the thing about Twitter is like you caught a Cecil doing the big punch, or maybe you came in at a different time and you saw someone from War Campaign letting a big blow. So you can come in at any point and see them exchanging, and you don't really know the full context of everything. And yeah, it is really, because those guys are the big entertainers, of Comicsgate, especially Cecil, and then the War Campaign. They're the funny guys. So
Hail David, take care.
Thanks, man. Thanks for stopping by. And I'll have you on sometime. We'll chat about your book, man, because it looks great. And I owe you for plugging me on Ethan's stream in lieu of your own. That's really that's very much appreciated. Thank you, brother.
It looks like House of R went up to smoke. Everybody hide.
Guys, I'm going to just run to the toilet and play my trailer while I go, okay?
We'll hold it down.
All right, good luck.
I'm just going to play this.
When dreams and reality collide, a life is turned upside down. Thrust into a conflict where ancient shadows fight secret wars. For control of the future. Her allies hide in plain sight. But so do her enemies.
David's recommends for your viewing pleasure.
I can't rewind it. That was almost perfect.
Almost, yeah.
He can't hear us yet.
Nope, he sure can't.
No.
So we can make fun for a few more seconds. Oh, all right.
All right,
yeah.
we got 5 pounds writing on this. Did you wash your hands?
I did. I always wash my hands, especially now. Let's check out what's in my feed here. What do we got here?
More
Star
Ingram
Wars
again.
videos. Look, they tell you, they always pop up. This happened like a year ago. Every single video I was watching, I was like the next video was Fox. Anyway, interesting little YouTube tidbit. Got some Liam Gray in there.
So Liam must stream at odd hours for him, because I seem to be able to catch him at fairly normal hours here.
Yeah, he streams. It depends. Sometimes he'll do, if he does 3 a day, he'll do one kind of very early afternoon, one sort of mid evening, and then one at 12 o'clock, as in midnight. So yeah, he's definitely. I don't know how he does it. It must be taking a toll on him.
I think his 12 midnight one is the live with Liam, where people argue, and the life with Liam is I think the early evening one.
Yeah, and then he does the one where he does the call-in show. I don't know when exactly that one is.
It calls it his lunch break.
Yeah. I don't know. He's like he does work, and then he's got everything to do with his campaign and everything. So I don't know what he does with all his time. I mean, it's just crazy.
Hey, we have a little more chat.
We what?
Yeah, some new chats.
Who's here? Sizzle. David. I'm not seeing anything. My fly is open. Yeah, it could be. Zip. It always is. I'm always forgetting to close my fly. My wife is going to hear that. She's gonna go red with shame.
Oh, no. We don't want you shamed, Michael.
Michael, you said you're a digital artist. When you were in art school, is that where they primarily trained you, or what?
No, when I went to art school, they didn't train shit. Like, I didn't learn anything there. I went to graphic design school, so I had some great teachers who were inspirational people. but I didn't learn craft from them. Everything that I've learned, I've had to learn on my own. They said, for instance, we had a multimedia class where you learn how to make buttons and things in Flash and the old Flash, and HTML pages and stuff. But they were so rudimentary. I was doing that stuff when I was in, I guess, what you would call middle school. I went out and read the whole book that they asked us to get, and I was just doing my own thing. I was making animations and all kinds of stuff. So they kind of left me alone. I never went to a school that kind of taught you drawing or anything like that. We did do life drawing, where you go and you sit there and you look at a nude person. We did that for a year. That was interesting. It was you'd go in at kind of 9 a.m. in a freezing cold morning, and you just sort of sit there and set up your easel, and you're still rubbing your eyes because you're awake still, and you get it all set up, and then you look over, and then right there, 3 feet away from you is a woman, legs spread eagle right in front of you, a big bush right in your face, and you're just like, whoa, okay, all right, let's get this morning started. But other than that, no, they didn't really teach me anything at school. It was more so I got that piece of paper to put on my resume.
So what do you usually work in then?
As in my job?
No, I'm sorry, not your job, your illustrations.
So I was in Photoshop for this whole book, and pretty much all the second book. Going forward, though, I'm going into Clip Studio Paint. It's just better. So everything I've been doing, like recently, any new artwork, I'm doing it in Clip Studio Paint. Although I'm still coloring in Photoshop because that's kind of where I'm comfortable. But I don't know if I can figure out Clip Studio Paint coloring and everything like that, I might jump over there too. It's just a superior program for comic book stuff.
All right.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. It used to be called Manga Studio, and you can even get the pro version, and it'll let you lay out the entire book on it.
I've heard that name before. Yes.
Yeah, Clip Studio Paint is the new name for Manga Studio. Yeah, what is Kikama says? Taught me about the Holocaust for about 8 years straight. Dude, I had to do art history for 5 years straight, and yeah, it is. You want to talk about Marxism and postmodern indoctrination? That's all it was, pretty much, for 5 years straight. And yeah, I was young and naive, and I got sucked into it, and it took me a long time to get out of it. Yeah. Akikama says Dan Frager uses that. Yeah, he probably does. It really is. You talk about kind of the ability to really fine-tune your brushstrokes down to exactly how you want to have them. So I like to have kind of clean brushstrokes now, and but you can do all kinds of things with it. And in Photoshop, you get weird edges on the ends of things, and you find yourself having to go back and clean them up. And also, I like to work at really obscenely high resolutions, so that if ever I want to kind of zoom into something, like I end up I don't like the composition of a panel, and I want to zoom in and crop something out, then I can, and it's no problem. Whereas in Photoshop, I found that even in those high resolutions, the brushes, they just aren't crisp. And a Clip Studio Paint, I can't really recommend it enough, because it's also got the blessed hallowed be thy name perspective rulers. So for instance, let me show you on a page like this. On a page like this, where is it? Internet slow again. Yeah, so when I sketched this out, I put these were all blocks in a 3D program. So all these buildings were blocks, just 3-dimensional blocks. Mm-hmm. And then I made them, and then I saved, I got it in the exact right kind of, what would you call it, position, camera position that I wanted it. I took a screen grab, a photo of those blocks, and then I took that into Clip Studio Paint, and I set up these are what are they called? 2-point perspective. This image is in 2-point perspective because all of the vertical lines are straight up and down. And yeah, you just make the rulers fit and away you go. And I just kind of look at reference of buildings and things like that, and you know how many windows are where and how high they are and all that kind of stuff, and away you go. And yeah, it's a real time saver. There was some people on a stream a couple of days ago talking about it, how when you use those rulers, you do lose the freehand. You do lose a bit of the freehand aspect of it, but and that is true. So I kind of go in after the fact and try and dirty stuff up a little bit, but without all those perspective rules and everything, something like this might have taken me months rather than weeks.
Ooh. So with 2 points perspective, remind me, it's been a long time since I've had an art class. There's 2 vanishing points, correct?
That's correct, yeah. So the straight lines is perfectly up and down. That's what we've got here. That's a 2-point perspective. The vanishing lines are often on either side of the page. And by contrast, this is a 3-point perspective. So you see how the vertical lines now also as well go to a point that looks to be kind of right around her head. So all the vertical lines converge up to something around here. And these are the horizontal lines. They go off there onto that side. So that's a 3-point perspective. You can go 3-point perspective facing up or facing down. So you know, it's just say you're doing an aerial view of a city, that would be in 3-point perspective. Sometimes even in a room. I think this is actually 2-point perspective here, even though this is aerial. But this one here is 3. So you can see on the edges here, the vertical lines are not straight up and down. So it gives that, you know, illusion that you're looking down and things are bigger the closer they are to you. But also there's 1-point perspective which you would use for kind of maybe you're in a hallway and you're looking down the hallway and everything is coming towards you, something like that. So they have all of them in Clip Studio Paint, and they're a godsend, because you can whack this stuff out really quickly.
So if you roll up again to the cave drawing, that sounds wrong, but the page with the cave on it, there we go.
Yep.
What caught my eye the other day was the dual light source there. You have multiple light sources, the ones on the floor illuminating the stairs from the face of the stair, and then the one up above illuminating stairs at the top of the top shelf of the stair. And it caught me in the middle where it's almost like an optical illusion that they flipped. And no, they didn't flip. And I was like, what's going on there? I'd stared at it too long with it partially off my screen was the problem. And I looked at the whole picture, and no, it's normal. There's light there on the bottom of the stairs. Did you shade and tint that all by hand, or are there aids for this?
No, that's all by hand, an eye.
Jeez.
Yeah, so there's there's only so much the program can tell you what to do. I use a 3D program for some scenes, so I didn't use it for this because there's no 3D cave that you can get with stairs and a cool podium thing with all this kind of junk in it. So this one was all conceptual. This one I sketched out just from imagination, pretty much. But yeah, there are like I use a program called Poser. I spoke about this on Clayton's channel, where I've built out entire scenes, like set pieces. So I've got in the second book, they go to a mansion, and it's really important to me that the mansion was, part of the story. It wasn't just another old mansion. Like the person who lives there and the kind of things they have in their mansion, it's really integral to the story. So I've got so much junk in that mansion, like historical junk, and it's just filled, every wall is just full of it. So I actually built these set pieces in a 3D program. And that means that, it took me a long time to build them, but once they're built, I can use them forever. And, I can come back to that place. I don't know how many panels I used. Quite a lot of panels that I used that set piece in, dozens of panels. And, I can know that every single perspective is correct. I can just move the camera around that space. and I can set the lighting, and I can see where the light hits things and all that sort of stuff. So, but for this one, no, it was just off eye. What were you going to say? Sorry.
Oh, is it the he's sitting at that, I'd like to say altar, but it's more like I don't know. He's sitting at that plateau there, and up above him is some sort of ramps, like a little model. And we see that again on the next page. Is that also by eye?
Yes. Yeah, that's all my eye. Like, again, I use the perspective rulers. You can set perspective rulers to be outside of the normal vanishing line. So obviously, this object has its own angles on it. It's a ziggurat. For anyone who is unfamiliar, that's an ancient Sumerian pyramid type structure. And you're exactly right. It's a kind of a scale model. That's all by eye. That's all just kind of.
Is that supposed to be the Tower of Babylon?
Going with what looks. No,
okay.
But it's you will see that in the start of. We'll see that again in the second book, and then an extension of that in the third book. So we're going to follow this guy. This guy is very important to the story, and we're going to follow him throughout history as the books go on. And he's going to be popping up in some very recognizable places and times. And that's just part of the story.
Nice.
So these pages here are some of the first pages you'll see in the entire book. Get a little glimpse of him, and then we'll see him again in the next book, and you'll be left wondering, why did I see him in the first book? And then bit by bit, it'll eventually all start to make sense, and you'll be wondering, where exactly is he going to reappear, and in what form? All right, guys. We're going for like 3 hours now. I think we've expended all of our interesting talking points for the day. I do want to do these things regularly, so I'm thinking I might just come back tomorrow. If you guys are interested in coming back and chatting again, we can talk about whatever you want, really. Just come in the chat and give us a topic. Channel X is here. He says, amazingly atmospheric art. Thank you, man. I hope you consider backing it if you haven't. It's the final plug now. It's the Lucent. I'm so close now to 10,000 Australian dollars. I hope I can make up that difference when I go to sleep. Akikama has a. Is it an intellectuals comic or more of an adventure style? It's ebbs and flows. It's definitely not. It's not Black Flag. It's not Frege Booms, just bullets and blasting. It is cerebral. It has some very what would you call them? It's got themes that'll have you thinking. Man, I don't just have immortality in there. I question like the impact of immortality. I consider that something that we as a people, a humanity, a civilization, will have to tackle in the years and the decades to come. So I want to kind of talk about it in my story, and the impacts of all that kind of stuff. And it's philosophical in that sense, but there is action. There is an adventure going on. So the main timeline, Ella, she, even though it's character, there's a lot of character development going on there. The story, the plot, there is there's things happening to her, and she's going to have to deal with them in real time in the plot. So there's that action element of it. But I definitely don't want to sell this to you guys as thinking you're going to be getting Jawbreakers or Starfrog or anything. It's its own thing. When I say it's a mystery, suspense with some superpowered action. When the action hits, it's going to hit hard. It's going to, because I've set it up in a way that it's going to kind of feel all real. Just want to make that clear, guys. But I've as well, because I know that you're all comic book readers. I'm a comic book reader as well. I love the action. I just want to make it impactful. So that's why I've put in the 12-page. Well, I'm hoping to put in. That's one of my stretch goals. The 12-page preview of the next comic, because there's a really cool interesting little action scene in there, and I want to show that to you guys, and hopefully get you interested in backing the next book if you back this one. But I think that's it for today, and yeah, hopefully you guys will come back and hang out tomorrow. Yeah. Cheers, Delta Spec. You guys, Poland and Samurai, you're always welcome to come and hang out with me. I really enjoy talking to you guys. You have great questions, and you really help me. You help me carry the show, basically.
We do what we can.
Yeah,
thanks for having us.
Yeah,
anytime,
pleasure,
guys.
Michael.
Yes, thank you, guys, and I'll see you next time. See you guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
Have a good one.
Bye.